This is Brown right here. Stops, scoops it up and in. Wow! Wow! Oh my God!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And it's intercepted on the ricochet. The defensive end, Utley, has had a terrific game in the right place there.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Seal drives it in and the basket goes!
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
3rd and 7. Blitz coming. Prescott in trouble. Lofting it to the corner. Lamb gets there! Touchdown!
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
You know, sometimes we haven't used this in a while, but stick your head in the tank of gasoline and light it with a match. That would, I think, today describe our guest lineup. On many issues, Baylor introduces their new baseball coach. Texas gets the commitment from lineage, legacy of Arch Manning, and also 50-year anniversary of Title IX and what it meant to women around the country when it comes to athletics and equality and scholarships. We have a lot to get to. Ryan Leaf, who spoke with Baylor's football team, will join us today, and just a buzzsaw of also Craig's Off the Radar and Paul Catalina's Top 5. Okay, we'll start with Arch Manning. We're going to hear from Jeff Howe from 247, covers Texas football. He commits to Texas. I want to say two things. I don't know how good he'll end up being. Obviously, he's the number 1 rated player in 2023. Coveted player, lineage, all that. I think he may have handled recruiting better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. He has a Twitter account. He has one tweet, his commitment. None of this top 30, not top 15 or whatever, not where I'm going to be. And that's not, like, people can do what they want. It's their lives. He makes the announcement. That is it. And he also kind of gets away from the South, even though he'll be in the SEC at some point. He gets away and maybe can start his own legacy.
Yeah, it's a huge deal for Texas. And look, all of the three Manning, well, I mean, I guess Eli was the same as Archie, but off of Archie's scion, they've all gone different places. Eli went to Ole Miss. Peyton cut his own path to Tennessee. And Arch very well could have just said, I'm going to Ole Miss or Tennessee or somewhere like that. And he's cutting his own path to Texas. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the rest of the quarterback room. I don't think it'll affect Quinn Ewers at all. I think it'll certainly affect Malik Murphy when it comes down to it. And, of course, we haven't even seen him yet. And, Hudson Card, it just seems by the minute he's, getting pushed closer and closer to the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's a massive commit for Texas. I mean, congrats to them. I have seen, just a huge amount of, celebration and just a huge amount of attention that's been paid to it. I mean, obviously the last name comes in handy there because, I've seen number 1 recruits make their pledge and it's a big deal, but, having the Manning part of it, I think has certainly made it probably 2 or 3 times as big. But I'm with you. I think the first tweet being the commitment tweet and not getting into all the, it's got, it's been this way for years, but top 12 and top 16 lists, and we got guys, all due respect, but they're tweeting out graphics for camp visits and stuff, and it's just really refreshing to see a kid who's got that much attention just go, here's where I'm going. and boom, and it's done, and there's no games being played. I love that. I wish it was more straight to the point like that, and not so much of the kind of circus atmosphere that it can turn into for some. But you got to have your fun with your one opportunity to go through it. So anyways, I like the way that he handled it, like you said. I don't know how great of a player. I mean, I know he's a great player, but to what extent, I have no idea because I've only seen the highlight clips, and I don't know how all that translates. But, apparently, there's a belief that he's like that guy. So we'll see here in a couple years or whenever that time comes for him. I'm not trying to get too over my skis, and I'm definitely not trying to downplay it, but can I see Quinn Ewers first before I get too worried about Arch Manning? Like, that's where I'm coming from is this is massive. Like, but I don't know, as a guy who I know is going to be covering Big 12 teams, like, do I even see Quinn Ewers play in the Big 12? I don't know. It's going to be kind of cutting it close depending on when they actually do.
You mean Arch Manning?
Arch Manning, yeah. Sorry. Arch. Do I even see Arch Manning play in the Big 12? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe for a year. But, I want to see Quinn Ewers first. I've heard so much about him that, I'm really intrigued to see what he does this year. And then, obviously they're loaded up behind him. So, big-time commit for Texas, big-time get for them. Not only – the thing that's kind of what I'm getting at is on the field – that's one part that we don't know, but really this is important today because of the off the field. Like, that's why this is massive. And I don't think everybody's celebrating because the way he throws the football. I think they're celebrating just as much because of the recruits they're now going to get because of Arch Manning and because of the momentum they get from it and because of that extra build into the SEC and all that comes with that. And, of course, all that comes with the Manning name. Like, that's why, to me, it's such a big deal. The on-the-field part, we're not going to know for a while. And if Quinn Ewers is as touted, then, we're really not going to know for, 2 or 3 years. But it's a big deal, no doubt about it.
There have been 3 quarterbacks who have had the perfect rating, according to most recruiting services. Vince Young, he turned out to be really good, about as good as anyone's ever been. And then, of course, Quinn Ewers, and now Arch Manning. Ewers on campus. Manning will be. I'm going to pitch to Jeff Howe because I was able to record a couple of minutes with him about the commitment and what it means.
Yeah, I just one thing I had, this is I know there's a lot of people that will talk about the NIL and like what it is, but I actually don't think that Arch Manning is a quarterback who could be affected by that by an individual institution. Basically, I'm coming here, you can make it happen because he could go pretty much anywhere he wants with that name, and his family can market him. So
yeah. But I want to just disagree slightly. If this was another school, we'd automatically talk about NIL.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. He doesn't necessarily need it as badly as maybe some others do or pursue it as much as others do, but I definitely think NIL came into play to some extent.
I'm sure it did, but I think that for him, because of who he is, it can just be maybe more of an afterthought, not an afterthought, but like a secondary issue, because he's going to get money wherever he goes and probably get the number he wants wherever he goes.
Right.
It's probably just about, all right, look, here's the number I want. But, there's only a certain schools that can meet it.
Same number he could have gotten to Georgia or Alabama.
Or Caleb Williams could have said, or Bryce Young could say,
absolutely.
That's
one of the things, and I love recruiting. I don't jump into it like I used to because it is the lifeblood, really. You still got to get on campus, and they have to turn out to be pretty good. And we've seen high classes fail, and then we've seen classes that were in the 30s and 40s or whatever perhaps have elite teams. But the bottom line is that it's like, but it's a great day for Texas, and Craig mentioned probably the biggest part of it is, one, the name and also what it could mean to the rest of class of 2023 and beyond. Now, Jeff Howe covers Texas. We're going to hear from Mitch Thompson today, introduced as Baylor's coach. Nancy Lieberman on Title IX at 50 will join us here at 3:25. Looking forward to that. And Baylor commitment in basketball, Jacoby Walter today at 3:45. But here is Jeff Howe, my conversation with him on the commitment of Arch Manning to UT.
What's the reaction been like for you?
Smokey, I've been in the Texas market covering recruiting for Texas exclusively since 2008. This is probably the biggest day we've seen. Even Quinn Ewers' commitment. Texas has gotten some big commitments in that time, Garrett Gilbert being one of them. I don't think there's anything bigger than this, just because you're talking about the first family of football and the Manning family. And now, Arch could have gone to Alabama and been next in line there. He could have gone to the reigning national champions and uplifted Kirby Smart in that program on offense. But I think at the end of the day, 2 things. I think, one, the relationship that Steve Sarkisian had built with Arch, really, from their first Zoom call, they really hit it off. And then I think the other aspect of that is Arch. I think you look at Peyton's decision to go to Tennessee. I think even Eli trying to go resurrect Ole Miss. I think Arch really wanted to, in terms of carving out kind of his niche on that family stone, if you will, kind of do his own thing and make his own way. And coming to Texas and being one of the guys that could potentially help get Texas back to where everybody expects Texas to be, that's it. But no question, Smokey. I mean, it's the greatest offseason for anybody coming off of a 5-win season in the history of college football, and I think this is the icing on the cake tonight.
You mentioned Garrett Gilbert, who was, I thought, the best high school quarterback I ever saw, and obviously that did not go well, and they have Quinn Ewers. I know Quinn's going to play this year, Ewers, you think. Is it just find its way, or is Arch Manning, in your opinion, just going to win this thing straight out when he arrives on campus?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, Smokey, I think what you would like to happen if you're Sark, if you're a Texas fan, if you got any kind of dog in the fight, I think you would like Quinn Ewers to win the job this year, take off with it, have a really good year in 2023, and then, kind of let Arch Manning sit and watch and learn for that year. And then if Quinn Ewers leaves after the 23 season and is a high draft pick, then you hand it off to Arch, and your quarterback situation is where you want it. And hopefully by that time you've got the lines of scrimmage figured out and you're kind of off and running at that point. Malik Murphy is a high upside kid, Smokey, and Texas, they Charles Wright's a local kid, and they're still going to recruit quarterbacks from 24 and beyond. But when you've got a chance to get an Arch Manning, similar to when Texas got Garrett Gilbert, and think about even when Texas got Vince Young, that pretty much cost Texas 2 years of recruiting a quarterback. I mean, Chris Lee, Kirby Freeman, Kyle Wright, they missed out on some big-time guys at the time because everybody knew what Texas had, and you kind of know the deal. It's a little bit different now because of the portal, and there's some different, and the quarterback thing is even more volatile now than it was even then. But this is a commitment, Smokey, where if you can get an Arch Manning, man, you take it and don't think twice and then sort everything else out after the fact.
I've seen video of him, obviously the number one player in the class of 2023. We know the lineage. What makes him so special?
I think, it's funny, Smokey. I think people say, well, okay, if he wasn't a part of that family, how good of a quarterback prospect would he be? But I think you have to take that into account because this is a kid that, from the time he came out of the womb has been kind of groomed in this quarterback family, like I said, the first family of football to play quarterback. That's what Arch Manning knows. That's what he's been brought up to do. And he's doing it at Isidore Newman, where his family, his dad and his uncles both played. I mean, their family name is on the wall there at Newman. So I think you do have to take that into effect. I think just the unmatched pedigree is part of it. But when you watch him, the feel for it, the natural instincts. Like, yeah, you can see the velocity and the ability to change ball speeds and the feet and the athleticism and all that. But I just think the unmatched pedigree and the instincts that he has, the natural God-given instincts he has to play that position, it's off the charts. There's a reason, Smokey, in the history of the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings, there have been 3 quarterbacks, very different guys, that have had basically a perfect score by the recruiting industry. One was Vince Young, the other was Quinn Ewers, and the third is Arch Manning. And I think it just goes back to that pedigree and just those instincts that you can't coach that. You either have those or you don't. Who's got them?
Reason to have optimism, but they always have had optimism, and you know that, and everybody knows that, and it's almost sometimes unfair because of what people might project them. Is it out of control now?
It can get to that point, but I do think, Smokey, for the Texas fan base, I think there is an understanding of it's not an all or nothing deal in terms of looking at these two different things. I think the Arch Manning commitment gives you great optimism and a tangible reason to believe that this thing is about to go on an upward trajectory and stay there. We've seen times in the last 10 plus years where it looks like Texas might start trending in that direction and ultimately it doesn't happen, or it trends that way for a little bit and then falls off. So I think the Arch Manning commitment is a tangible reason to believe that, yeah, this thing can go on an upward trajectory. But I think anybody that watched the spring game, anybody that's followed our reports at Hornets 24/7 based on what this depth chart looks like, what this roster looks like, yeah, it's not a complete product, and there are plenty of blemishes on this roster. And yes, there is a great collection of skill talent at Texas right now, but they still got an offensive line situation that leaves a lot to be desired. Historically, the 2021 defense is one of the worst defenses Texas has ever had. So you take all that into consideration, I think there's an understanding that there is some work to do for Sark and the staff in 2022, but it's hard not to look at Arch Manning and then what's coming down the pike and not be really excited about where things are.
That's Jeff Howe from Horns 247, also the Horn in Austin on the Arch Manning commitment. Yeah, I thought what Jeff said a lot. He was realistic. At the same time, the momentum it does bring to the table. Baylor today, from Coleman out of Mesquite, Horn, a safety, a second safety that committed to them as well today. And DJ Coleman, that's a nice commitment for them. And so they got that today. And, of course, yesterday, basketball with Jacoby Walter. Anything to wrap up the Arch Manning? Our chat room's going crazy in good ways. Anything else on Arch Manning? And then we'll move to Mitch Thompson.
The big point that Jeff made, though, was whether it's Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers, you got to get some big boys up there to block for him. Once that happens, things might change for Texas. And, of course, they have to also get some big boys up front to tackle the other quarterback and the running backs from the other team. So once they get good up front again, I mean, like that 2005 team, everybody talks about Vince. Everybody talks about the skill players, remembers all those guys. But if you look at the recruiting class they had 3 years before that, it was chock full of defensive and offensive linemen, and that's what put them over the top.
Yeah, I just don't really want to gloss over DJ Coleman too much. That's a good get for Baylor. I mean, I know it's not the level of Arch Manning and what people are obsessed with right now, but I do want to acknowledge that getting the safety out of Mesquite Horn. So good for him to make his commitment. Obviously, he's probably feeling a little overshadowed today when he looks at social media. But, yeah, I mean, congrats to, again, I said it just a little while ago, congrats to Texas on getting a big fish. I mean, the biggest fish they've gotten since Quinn Ewers, I guess, and then before that since Vince Young. But, I'm pretty numb to them getting great recruits.
Yeah, it's not the first time they've gotten a great quarterback or great. They do get them, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to, pop confetti and, have balloons flying and all that and act like this is the biggest day of all time. For Texas fans, I'm sure in some ways it is. And, I'm just one of those, though, that, hey, it's awesome. That's a great get. Their quarterback room is loaded. I'd hate to be Malik Murphy because he's just suddenly completely forgotten about. And I definitely know that we saw some, when he committed, it was this kid's this and that. And maybe not everybody was saying that, but I saw plenty of people saying that. Now he's a non-factor. He's already completely forgotten about. And so that's why, let's just see what happens. Big day, celebrate your tail off if you're a Texas fan. I'm not taking anything away from that. But as far as what this actually means, we don't know, and we won't know anytime soon. But off the field, it's definitely going to build some huge momentum for them, and that will be great for them over the next couple of years.
All right. Also today, Baylor introduced their baseball coach. Of course, the news is a week ago. Mitch Thompson, across the way from the junior college, McLennan Community College, who had been at Baylor under Steve Smith for quite some time, 9 years at McLennan. He today was introduced as the new baseball coach at Baylor. A great crowd was there. Obviously, our Levi Caraway's been all over this, along with Brian Etheridge and others. But Mitch Thompson today on the players, it's always about the players.
The players are the most important asset we have. They're the only thing that matters. This place has been about teaching and giving young men a place to compete and to play for championships, to chase their dreams. It's been about helping young people get a world-class education. It's been about giving young men an opportunity to build their character and grow their faith. Baylor baseball has always been about changing lives. It's been about growing men and showing them how to be outstanding husbands and fathers, employees, and bosses. It's always been about preparing champions for life, and we're going to continue to do that. Today, I pledge to you that the players will always be the most important thing to me. I want to invest in their lives. I want to help them chase their dreams. I want to develop a relationship that lasts a lifetime.
By the way, Mitch opened up today by saying, wow, I'm blown away. And he thanked a lot of people, the mentors along his career, including former Baylor coach Steve Smith as well, family, former players who were there in attendance. It's always about the players, but also it's about getting those players. It's about recruiting players that can help you win, because that's the lifeblood of anything, recruiting the players and a chance to get back to Omaha.
We're going to recruit outstanding young men. I'm going to be able to put together a great staff of guys who can really connect and really develop with players. We're going to recruit great players. We're blessed to be in the great state of Texas with the best high school baseball, the best high school baseball coaches, the best select programs, The best junior college programs in the country are right here in our back door, and we're going to take advantage of all of them. And together, they're going to help us build this thing, return this place to where we want to be. But I need you to fill the stands. I need you to buy tickets. I need you to create that home field advantage. I need you to join the Heart of the Order, help us to raise money so we can do for these players exactly what we need to do, when we need to do it, how we need to do it. You play a role. Together, we're going to impact young men's lives. Together, we're going to win championships. And together, if God be willing, we're going to take this place back to Omaha, and we're going to compete to win the whole dadgum thing. So just know that that's my goal. That's what we're going to be about. We're going to hire people that are going to impact these young men's lives. We're going to develop relationships that last a lifetime. And when these kids leave 25 years from now, they're going to come back to their home and their place, and it's going to mean something to them, just like it means to all of you guys that are the former players that are here.
There were a lot of people there. Heart of the Order had a lot of representatives, and some were already wanting to order. That's part of a group that does support Baylor baseball. It was good to see Nikki Collin there, and then also Dave Aranda was there, among others as well. So Mitch Thompson introduced as the baseball coach at Baylor earlier today at the Baylor Club. Paul, keep it here?
No, let's take a break.
Let's take a real quick break. We'll come back. Nancy Lieberman, one of the all-time great players ever in basketball, but also a pioneer trailblazer on Title IX at 50. Sikkim 365 Radio. Woodway, the city of Woodway has a great event coming up here in July. It's a craft beer tasting, but also a concert that's involved as well. And if you want tickets, if you want to go, and I'm going to give you some information here in just a second, you can do that by going to their website, discoverwoodway.com. It is called Taste of Southern Roots. Craft beer tasting and also concert July the 7th, including Brett Welch and David Ramirez, and tickets are just $15 right now. We've given away a couple of sets of 4 through the website, and also a couple of us will be going to that event as well on July the 7th. If you want to go, you can still get tickets, $15 a piece at discoverwoodway.com. July 7th, it's the Taste of Southern Roots, craft beer tasting and concert. Go to discoverwoodway.com.
Jeep Freedom Days are going on now at Allen Samuels in Waco. The new 2022 Impressive Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 have 2.9% for 72 months, plus $4,000 competitive bonus cash. That's right, and $4,000 bonus cash. This incentive on the new 2022 Wagoneers for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends. Don Humidor, you're home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, Warm welcome home.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
So much to get to, and today is the 50th anniversary of Title IX. 2 different guests, including Nancy Lieberman, the all-everything Naismith Hall of Fame, among everything else. She'll join us, and Brenda Van Langen's doing a documentary as well on it. We've heard from Mitch Thompson. We've heard about the Arch Manning commitment, and there's so much more to get to. The Arch Manning commitment is absolutely 100% dominating the chat room, from those who are excited to those who say, hey, tap the brakes, and for those who want to go back and forth on what it really means. And I think that's great, and we appreciate you being a part of the chat room today. NBA draft is tonight, by the way, right? Tonight. Yeah. And, of course, Jeremy Sohan and Kendall Brown expected to get drafted, depending on when, but that's tonight as well.
And possibly James Akinjo, but I would think that would be pretty late if it did happen.
It'd be great, see if you got drafted as well. And sometimes, and not, I don't know about the case of the NBA draft, but because it is such a short draft, but sometimes it's better if you're not going to get drafted early to not get drafted at all. You go pick the best fit for you, although by getting drafted, there are some incentives that come along with that as well. And, by the way, Arkansas beat Ole Miss. It got dicey in the ninth, but they won last night 3-2. They'll play again tonight, or in fact, it's underway here, just underway up in Omaha. The winner will face Oklahoma for the national championship, who took care of A&M. In fact, we know yesterday afternoon. All right, now let's go back to the Arch Manning commitment until we hear from Nancy Lieberman on Title IX. You have Quinn Ewers, who is yet to take a snap in Austin after not doing anything at Ohio State, but we know how good he is. We're not, again, what's going to happen if he's pretty good, and he could be great, but he's pretty good, and then all of a sudden you have Arch Manning come on campus? It's going to be interesting to see if both, and it's fair to say this for any college because of the transfer portal, if they'll both be a part of this going forward, even though Ewers can leave a year or two earlier.
Yeah, I know everybody's already getting into that, but, my gosh, like I said in the first segment, can we see one of these guys play first? We're already predicting, who the transfer guy is going to be. I think it works out fine. If Quinn Ewers is as advertised, he plays for the next couple years, he plays really well, and then Arch Manning comes in right about the time they join the SEC, and that seems pretty simple to me. That's the easiest, that's the easiest timeline for them.
Here is a quote from Nikki Collin, Baylor women's basketball coach, on Nancy Lieberman. Nancy has touched so many parts of the basketball world, from her incredible success collegiately and professionally to her coaching at various levels in multiple leagues. She has invested herself in other women and shown them how to follow their dreams and believe anything is possible in sports. And in this, the day, 50th anniversary of Title IX, I can't think of many more people than Nancy Lieberman to be a special guest on this show. Nancy, thank you so much for being a part of the show. What does today mean, even though there are still many things that have to get better?
Well, first, thank you for having me on the show. And to Nikki, those very kind words. And I really appreciate everything she's done. But to me, it means that we have come a long way, but I would mention to the next generation not to exhale. We're not there yet. The only way we'll be there is when there's equal pay between men and women, whether it's coaching, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's opportunities. And I know we've grown, and I know we've also been championed by men who have been very instrumental in my life, by the way. I don't have any horror stories, but I will say the Educational Act of 1972 on the 23rd of June by then President Richard Nixon is one of the most important pieces of legislation of the 20th century. I put it right up there with the Equal Pay Act, with women voting rights. You would not know, Nikki, you would not know Jordan Lewis, you would not know Sue Bird, Rapinoe, Serena Williams. You wouldn't know so many of us if there was no Title IX, because we would not have had a platform to display our athletic and then have educational opportunities.
Nancy, you mentioned don't wait to exhale. What do you think the next step is to grow? I know there are certain things that have been kind of added on to Title IX over the years, but for women's sports to take that next big step, what is the next thing that needs to happen?
Well, we need to currently do what you're doing. I mean, you're already a champion of women because you're having me on your show. We need more media coverage. It's still tilted severely in the way of men, but you can see that it's kind of, if you build it, they will come. If you give us opportunity, more people will get a chance to see us. And we just had a huge Title IX celebration at the Basketball Hall of Fame 2 days ago with many of the collegiate coaches, Cheryl Miller, myself. And, even like at ESPN, if they put WNBA games or collegiate games on ABC, there's more eyeballs. The common fan might sit there and go, wow, I didn't realize, these women were that good. But if you tuck us away, for the most part on ESPN2, or, you're putting us, streaming on one of the other platforms, now the serious fan will dig for that, with Baylor. We're going to find where our people are because we're dedicated and loyal. And we have to just continue to have more exposure. People see who we are, what we're all about. And that is one of the steps we have to take towards equality. And as far as pay, women shouldn't earn 80 cents on the dollar. Women of color should not earn between 57 and 68 cents on the dollar. It's unfair, and it reeks of not having any financial equality. But let me just say this, I coached in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings, and I left the Kings when my mom got sick in 2017, and I got hired by Ice Cube, the rapper, the movie star, the entrepreneur who started the Big Three. And one of the things that happened on our first conversation, he says, look, tell your agent you will be the highest paid coach in the Big Three. Now, the Big Three, think about it. It has Dr. J, Gary Payton. It had Clyde Drexler, George Gervin, Rick Mahorn, Rick Barry, Michael Cooper. And he said, you can negotiate some things, but salary will not be one of them. You will be paid exactly what the other coaches in this league are paid. That's amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No question about it. And he didn't have to say that, right? I saw an interview with Dawn Staley at South Carolina. We know what she's done there about how she finally one day told her agent to step aside and talk to an attorney about representing her in trying to get a better contract at South Carolina.
Well, she had the vision, she had the strength, and she had the belief. I think it's so important that we look at things like that. We don't want guys to have less. When I was at the hall the other day and we were going through this panel in open forum, and people were like, okay, Nancy, you've been through this. What's your horror stories? I said, actually, I don't have any horror stories. Every major job I've ever had in my career, and, I've been around for, 5 decades. I said, Dr. Jarrett gave me a scholarship, first one ever, full scholarship for a woman at Old Dominion University. Then Dave Olmstead paid me $100,000 in 1980 to play for the Dallas Diamonds. Here in the first women's pro league, the WBL. ESPN hired me. Norby Williamson, I was there for 28 years. Donnie Nelson hired me with the Dallas Mavericks to be the first head coach of a NBA G League team. Vlade Divac brought me to the Sacramento Kings. Tom Wilson hired me, and Rick Sund hired me to coach in the WNBA. So you guys are so important to us. You're vital to our success. And if you continue to celebrate us and not tolerate us, it changes the equation. And the cool thing is that so many athletes today now have daughters, and they're Title IX dads. They want their daughters to have the same educational and, athletic opportunities in life as their sons have. And you're seeing a big shift, and it's really beautiful that, people like yourself are seeing the value of who we are. And the WNBA took it to another level when they were in the bubble. Think about this. If they vote not to go to the bubble a couple of years ago, the WNBA could have folded forever. And the players said, no, we have to play. And they went in the bubble. They had their convictions about what they thought was right. And they have become, leaders in equality and in opportunity.
Nancy, when you talk about platforms and exposure and things like that, I think of like Oklahoma softball here recently. Is that an example of something that you could see as given the proper amount of attention and respect and care that could be a sport, a team, a coach, a group of players that could experience more, get more in return, and also get an audience?
Absolutely. And, the softball championships for years have been down there in Oklahoma, and their program is just unbelievable. And look at the fan base, not only at the collegiate level for women's softball, the Olympic level, when women's softball was there, the stands were packed. I believe the NCAA women's softball at one point rated higher than NHL, so you're seeing, and it just depends on where they put you. If they put you on ESPN, like I said, you're going to get more eyeballs. If they put you on CBS or ABC, you're going to get more of the common fan who really hasn't had a chance to attach themselves to you. And honestly, that happened when I was at Old Dominion, when we won back-to-back national championships in 70, 79, and 80. We were the first women's program in the history of college basketball to play the championship game live on TV. And anything before that was on tape delay. So people around the country saw Old Dominion, and we became like America's team, because people were like, wow, you guys are fun. We enjoyed watching you play. So, a cereal is not a cereal until you see it on Saturday morning cartoons, and then the kids are like, I want that. And we need that, not just because maybe some of the women are beautiful or look fantastic, but talk about how I play. Talk about how I play like a guy, or how I set screens, or how I get my shot off. I mean, the same way, you would talk about, Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son over at Jackson State. And HBCUs are, in the same business as us. They need more exposure to get the right players there. And then you get Deion there, and then all of a sudden you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You're getting all these national, people coming down. You're on ESPN. It's almost like minorities being pitted against each other. We're fighting the same fight as HBCUs.
Is now, Nancy, kind of it's kind of an opportune time to to finally have some reasonable arguments about media coverage, because before they could say, oh, well, I mean, where are we going to put everybody? If we move you here, where can we put everybody else? Well, now there's a million places you can put the things and move things around to create that equality you're talking about.
Yeah, you're spot on that. And you know what? In the past, and I was at ESPN, like I said, 28 years. I've been with Bally's, Fox, for, 15, 20 years or more. And, what would happen sometimes is they go, okay, we're going to put you on ESPN, but on Sunday. So we're going up against an NFL game. So people are not going to watch women's college basketball. They're going to watch the NFL. So you also have to be mindful of where you're putting us. That's a strategy. We're going to put this show coming out of, Monday Night Football, and then the audience might stay, and then they'll watch one of your favorite TV shows. So this is a definite strategy of when you put us on, where you put us on, instead of just saying, we'll put you on here, but it's a lose because you're going up against, North Carolina and Duke. So, there has to be some changes, and everything's about, how you get rated, who's watching, but just give us the opportunity. I've said this my whole life. When I was playing pro, when I was playing at Old Dominion, come to a game. If you don't like how we play, you don't ever have to come back. If you do like how we play, bring somebody with you, and let's grow this. And we grew it from 500 people a game, to 10,000 people a game at Old Dominion. And just because it was no pressure, not emotional, if you like what you see, come back. If you don't like what you see, that's okay. Thanks for checking us out. And I think if we do more of that, we can grow our sport.
I know you have a battery of a bunch of interviews you're doing on this day, Nancy. I want to let you know one of the things that I have been affected by early on is I went to Stephen F. Austin when Sue Gunner was there. And, of course, a Hall of Fame coach. They had a player named Rosie Walker. They were elite. They were among the top 5 teams in the country, right there with you. And Wayland Baptist, remember them, and others. And so it's just been something that I've always followed for quite some time. And then covering Baylor for a decade plus, obviously, with what they've done, makes it easier to kind of understand it, in a way that it's kind of in my blood. When you look at the women, you talk about getting more eyeballs. And is that the only way eventually, if they get enough of the eyeballs, enough of the bright lights in the right places, that the equal pay also will then lead to supply and demand, which means more money because more revenue?
Well, we're seeing a big shift with all this. I think people, the NCAA, are trying to get their arms around this NIL thing. We were in the gym the other day. My son TJ, who went to Richmond, now plays professionally. Quite frankly, he's playing for me in the Big Three. And Drew and Matt Timmy were here in Dallas. They're Dallas guys. And they, Drew said to him, I'm going back to Gonzaga. They're paying me, I'm getting paid like $2 million. He goes, I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to finish strong. But it's different now. And, so many of the women, Paige Beckers is making a ton of money. Caitlin Clark at Iowa is except for football. Right now, some of the gymnasts, some people that have incredible followings, this NIL thing is just changing the game a little bit because, it's a different generation, and it's about who's following you, how many people are following you. And old people are going to have to learn to figure this out because these young kids, they're influencers, they're stars, and they have a lot of impact. It's exciting.
Nancy, thank you for what you did, what you've done, also what you're doing as far as today as well. We have Brenda Van Langen on. She's got a documentary that she's putting together. She's going to join us at 5 o'clock today. Thanks for your time and also what you're trying to help, again, the 50th anniversary of Title IX and what it means.
Well, thank you for, just your support of everything that you do for us and the history that you shared with me. That's why you admire us, and I appreciate that. And tell my sister, Brenda, she's amazing. Her documentary is going to be phenomenal, and I'm all for her.
No problem. Thank you. Nancy Lieberman, Hall of Famer in many different ways. And when I thought about this, there's 2 or 3 different names. Obviously Billie Jean King, Nancy Lieberman, among some others, but she is pretty much the rock star today on Title IX at 50. And I've been watching some of the chat on this. And yes, there's certain things that the demands that are there that don't equal the revenue. And she was discussing that a little bit. Paul's follow-up question is about that a little bit as well. But this is not about so much that, although that's the next level. You still need to earn it to get it. I get that. No question. But Title IX is about giving women equal opportunity to participate in sports, to play college athletics, to have scholarships. And yes, in some ways, it's unfortunate that because of Title IX, there are some men's sports or other sports that have to be canceled because you have to have some sports to equal the number of scholarships. In football, of course, getting a large ton of them.
And I think that the equivalency sports getting full scholarships will maybe help balance that out, that maybe you can keep sports or maybe bring some sports back. I don't know. It's going to take an economic influx to do that. But, yeah, it happened. But, again, it sucks. But it wasn't like there weren't opportunities for people to go. It means that, okay, you can't play baseball at Iowa State. Well, it sucks if you really wanted to go to Iowa State, but that doesn't mean that there's not a baseball program for you to go to.
All right.
Does Iowa State have a baseball program?
They don't.
No, they don't.
That's one of the programs that,
All right, got you.
Yeah, that's one of the programs that got nixed, but it sucks if you wanted to play baseball at Iowa State and you can't, but it didn't mean that now it's illegal for you to play baseball. No, you just have to go somewhere else.
And again, I kind of have it in my blood because of when I went to Tyler Junior College and then to SFA. Both had incredibly good basketball programs at the women's level. And yes, I understand there's a lot of you that just don't care. And that's fine. You don't like the pace of play. You don't like the play itself. That's fine. And there's topics that we can get into, and we have. But I appreciate Nancy Lieberman. Brenda Van Langen is writing and doing a documentary called If Not For Them. And it's about, if not for them, where would we be today when it comes to women and athletics and equality in college athletics. When we come back, Baylor men's basketball, Jacoby Walter committed. Young man who's about to go play high school at an academy, a school in Missouri, who's at McKinney High School, committed to Baylor, a 5-star stud, a guard. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on now over at Richard Carr. They are the people that you can count on, and I counted on them a couple of times here within the last year. Had a dude get all angry on the little road rage incident, had to take my car over to Richard Carr. They hooked me up nice and neat. Then a few months later, had some falling debris. I was on a real lucky streak, obviously, and they were able to get that all fixed up as well. I had my car in there last week, and they were able to get it back to me in just a few days' time, in the exact timeline that they said they would get it back to me. And when I got it back, I recognized it because all they did was, take a dent, put some back paint on and all that. But, man, it felt like a brand-new car. It felt like I had just walked into a brand-new vehicle. That's the kind of customer service. That's the kind of work they do over at Richard Carr. And right now, if you're looking to get into a car as soon as possible, we'll get your name on their inbound vehicle list. And what that will do is ensure that you are basically in line to get that new car or truck that you are eyeing. That allows you to get your place, so to speak, so that when that new car or truck that you're looking for does arrive, you will get it ASAP. If you're looking to buy new, they've got plenty of great deals as well on all of the different Buick GMC Cadillac models, cars, trucks, and SUVs. All you got to do is, no matter whether you're looking to buy new or you're looking to buy pre-owned, is just get in contact with the dealership or drop by. They've got tremendous customer service. Donnie and the folks over there do a tremendous job, and they will get the best possible deal for you. If you are looking at some used cars, which is what you can probably get into quicker at this point in time, they do have all of their vehicles going through 172-point inspection. You will feel good about the car that you get into. You will have peace of mind no matter if you're buying new or pre-owned. And let me tell you, somebody who hasn't always driven the best car, now I drive something I can actually count on, like I can count on Richard Carr. But having had a little bit of a junker for a few years before that, that peace of mind goes a really long way when you're on the road and you're traveling. So get that peace of mind, get that great deal, and get that great customer service. Just check out the good folks over at Richard Carr, the people that you can count on in business in Central Texas for over 20 years. Check them out, Highway 6 in the Imperial exit.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We are now joined by Jacoby Walter. He is committed to Baylor from McKinney, Texas. Joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Jacoby, obviously a lot of people waiting and interested in what you're doing and your decision. What did it come down to as your decision to pick Scott Drew and Baylor?
Really my relationship with them and what I think they can do for me going into my freshman year and just from the future and going on, because Baylor, I think, is just different overall in the development part. You know, they're a very elite program. Coach Drew is a very elite coach, so I just wanted to play with elite players and play for an elite coach.
When did they come on your radar as far as a school you wanted to go to?
As soon as they offered me, that was the year they just won the national championship. and they were my first offer. So obviously, I had the best relationship with them. So ever since they offered me, I was always keeping in touch with them.
How much of that timing of them also winning the national championship, did that boost them up even a little bit more in your eyes?
Not really, because I really just still had to do more research. But just seeing that past team that won the national championship definitely did, but not because of the fact that they won.
Every time we have somebody on who's committed to Baylor or somebody who transfers to Baylor, Jacoby, they always talk about the relationships, and that's something that Baylor has built, the culture inside of that program. Can you kind of define that a little bit more about what that's like?
Definitely. When I went on my official visit there, it already felt like home. Everybody greeted me. I talked to everybody on staff, to the managers. Even when I'm not around the coaches and I'm just around anybody else, it always just focus and hard work, because they're really going to get after it in practice. And, I think that's just what I want to be a part of, just the good culture and relationship part of it.
So now do you go to work recruiting other players to come there? And then do you have a target in mind?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be the best recruiter we have. And my first target is going to be Wesley Yates from Beaumont.
Mm-hmm. As someone that's been high on their radar like you are. And, of course, Miro Little is another young man coming over from overseas, right, to play in America this year. Have you been in touch with him?
Yes, me and Miro talked earlier today and yesterday. We're already excited to come.
Was there a former Baylor player in particular that you look at or watch and you think that could be you?
I don't know if it's going to be easy to do, but just Davion Mitchell, just the way he played both sides, that's something I would want to bring to the table when I go.
What if the Baylor staff told you about your game, about what right now looks great and what you say, as you mentioned, how they develop players, what you need to develop a little bit better?
They like the way I shoot the ball, definitely. They think I can space the floor. They think I'm creative with the ball and just an elite scorer. But I think when I go there, just my pace and playing and making better decisions is going to really excel, because when I was going through the workouts there, that's what we really started to focus on.
Jacoby Walter, again, has committed to Baylor from McKinney High School, 23 points, 8 rebounds per game. Also was a part of the AAU circuit on the Trae Young team as well. Did you ever get to meet him?
Yes, definitely. We've met plenty of times, and he texted me right before I committed.
What did he say?
He just told me to enjoy the moment, and I deserve everything coming my way, but the work doesn't end.
So how relieved are you right now, Jacoby? I mean, obviously you've had this process going on for quite a bit of time, and no matter how long you've kind of known what your decision was going to be, just to have it out there, have it in the public, have people congratulating you, is there a big sense of relief on your part?
Definitely. I think now I can really focus on just the basketball part of it and don't really have to pay attention to the recruitment part anymore.
Will you be playing a lot during the summer with the AAU team, or what do you do?
Yes, I'm just going to keep playing, finish out the sessions, go to my last camps, and then go into my senior year.
So are you going to be able to match the happiness quotient of Scott Drew?
I don't think that's possible. Nah.
I ask everybody this, that once they commit, Jacoby, of you hear about Scott Drew and you talk to Scott Drew a little bit, but there's always that part of everybody that wonders, like, is this for real? Did you ever have that moment and then realize, like, wow, this is who he is?
Yes. When I first met him in person, I questioned it. But, I mean, I've been up there plenty of times and we've talked plenty of times. It's true. He's always a happy guy.
Yeah, he is, and it's real, and you know that, and that's part of your the relationship. Who among the assistant coaches was more in touch with you than others?
Coach Brooks. That was the main one that I would talk to.
Man, I love Alvin. We all do. He's as real as it gets. It seems to me. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
From our chances, he's talking about doing a lot of working out this summer. Have you seen him?
We've been talking, and he's been on his grind every morning. Y'all need to watch out.
He said that the national championship year and all the things and what they do and all that, he needs to get back to being a little bit more lean than he was, and I'm happy for him. That's awesome, and it's great that you guys have that relationship along the way.
Well, he's certainly running around right now, burning some calories because of this commitment. I can guarantee you that. I bet he is fired up as everybody else.
So, Jacoby, what was when you made the final decision and you called Coach Drew? What was his reaction?
First, I called him and he didn't answer, so I told Coach Brooks, and him and his family were just screaming happy. And then later when I was at the gym, Coach Drew called me, and as you can expect, him being loud, screamed, super happy and excited. But, it was just really a good time.
On Thursday, Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sohan will most likely be drafted. How much have you paid attention, and how much will you pay attention to that?
I'm definitely going to, because, freshman, and that's going to be me in less than 2 years. So I just see it as that could possibly be me.
Jacoby, thanks for your time, man. Congratulations. We appreciate it. Look forward to covering you.
No problem.
Jacoby Walter from McKinney High School going to Link Academy, as he mentioned, in Missouri. A commitment for Scott Drew and Baylor. 5-star guard. Sikkim 365 Radio.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. What are some of the things you have coming up?
You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10, every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Just wait long enough, and there's always something in college football that will rattle the bones and also give you something to discuss. And today it was the commitment of Arch Manning to Texas, and we're now joined by Max Olson, theathletic.com, of course, all over recruiting, but also the portal in college football in general. Max, what was your reaction when you saw the actual commitment?
I was not surprised. I wasn't surprised. I guess I really wasn't surprised. I think that there's, it's hard to get a read on that one just because I think, to his credit and his family's credit, not shockingly, the Mannings really played this close to the vest. And other than maybe his high school coach doing a lot of interviews this year, you really didn't hear them too much talk about how this was going. And I think that the public kind of believed it was a Texas, Georgia, Alabama battle. And, he took those OVs and ultimately Texas got him on board. And I was, I think the big takeaway, I know it's easy to sort of jump right into the what's this going to mean? Can Texas compete for national championships in the SEC and all that stuff? But I think today, clearly, it's a pretty big statement that, first of all, that the Manning family really believes in and trusts Steve Sarkisian, and that Arch Manning really believes that Texas is a place where, like at Alabama or Georgia, he feels like he can get really elite players to come play with him.
Well, like his track record of putting players in the NFL, and look, Arch Manning's a Manning, so that certainly helps. But Steve Sarkisian, when people are asking how's he getting all these quarterbacks, look, he got Jake Locker into the top 10. He got Mark Sanchez in the NFL for a decade. This is a guy who's got a track record. People kind of forget that because it seems like it's been a while, but Tua, Mac Jones, all these are Sark QBs.
Yeah, if you read off his resume, just like year to year, the quarterback list from USC, and all the pros he was around there to Washington. You're right with Locke. People always kind of forget about Locker because he retired so soon. But then to go to Alabama and obviously to be around Tua and Mac Jones and build in 2020 truly one of the best offenses we've seen. And then to go to Texas, yeah, like I think the track record on Sark is certainly pretty impressive in terms of turning these guys into pros. And clearly, this is also just I think this is just one of those things. Really, as much as it was really important, obviously, to get Quinn Ewers at Texas, and something that Texas fans have had their eyes on for a very long time. I don't doubt that Steve Sarkisian and AJ Milwee and his staff, from the day they got to Texas, probably felt like Arch Manning's the guy we're going to make a run at, and we've got to kind of do all the right things to check all the right boxes for him.
So, Max, what kind of a tidal wave effect do you think that this has? I mean, Texas has top 5 recruiting classes every year, but now this kind of spins this 2023 class to where you're really talking about, a number 1 finish with Arch Manning and all the players that apparently want to play with him. What kind of a tidal wave effect do you think this has?
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be really interesting to see, because when Quinn Ewers committed to Texas, there was that same kind of question of, well, okay, can they flip Evan Stewart, and can they get all these other guys on board with their class? And they were able to, obviously, I think that had a huge effect on the offensive line class that they put together at Texas in this last cycle, which was, one of the best we've ever seen. And I'm sure that O-line class helped a lot with Arch. I certainly think that it's going to make a difference with some of the top recruits in the state of Texas, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The class doesn't have a ton of those commitments yet. I think the class is not even in I think it's in the top 20 right now, but not the top 10, because they haven't taken that many guys yet. But I do think, now you kind of flip the switch, and now Arch Manning is recruiting for Texas instead of kind of playing things close to the vest here. And I'm interested to see what does that mean for the best players in the state and around the country? And I'm sure right now Texas fans are pretty excited that there's a chance to, like you said, even with A&M recruiting the way they have, and Georgia recruiting off a national championship, and Alabama being Alabama, and Notre Dame is right now is recruiting better than anybody. I'm sure there's a lot of confidence this is going to be at least a top 5 class.
What I liked about what he did is he was not a lot of look at me. Not that you shouldn't enjoy your recruitment. Some players do that more than others, but it was one tweet, the commitment. And he also kind of got away from that umbrella of the South. That doesn't mean he won't be a part of the SEC. He probably will be at some point. I like that. Yeah. I like that he kind of said, hey, I'm going to go build my own thing, whether it had been in Texas or somewhere else outside of that part of the SEC that has been around for a while.
Yeah, I liked him just throwing up the first tweet ever on his account was his commitment to Texas. And I looked at it the other day, and I think he had I looked at it maybe half hour ago. I think it had like 142,000 likes on it. So I don't know if you guys have posted any tweets in recent years that have hit that number. I'm certain I have not.
I put up a picture of a sandwich I ate one day that got 7. So
there you go.
I felt like I'm on the way. That time's going to tell on that.
It's interesting. He's just such a celebrity to folks online and to the recruiting world and all that stuff. He's just kind of been. He's been slotted number 1 in his class from the day from the day he was a freshman, really. And so it's just a different level now in terms of just the fame and notoriety and attention that comes with Arch Manning. And obviously there's a lot to live up to there, but I think he ultimately felt like Texas was the place where he would be most comfortable kind of living in that bubble.
I know this is probably not fair to even ask, but where does the transfer portal dominoes start to fall?
Yeah, I think there's going to be, in terms of the quarterback recruiting class here, there's certainly some effect there where now Georgia has to go find a QB, and will they get involved in some of these guys that everyone's fighting for, like Dante Moore and Jaden Machota. I also like Georgia. I'm sure that they were, when you kind of go all in on a guy like this and then you don't get him, it's tough. But Georgia's probably one of those schools that if they don't love their options at the end of this year when Stetson Bennett moves on, I'm sure they can go out and get the best player in the portal, and that's a pretty easy sell to come to Georgia. So they may be in a position now in not getting Arch where maybe that's a little bit more of a consideration now. And, I think for Texas, obviously, you've got people are just, going to forget to talk about Hudson Card and Malik Murphy and who else they've got in their room there. But it's a pretty strong room right now, and I think the competition there, certainly for this season and beyond, is going to be really interesting. Can Quinn Ewers or Hudson Card turn into a guy that can be maybe a 2-year starter that gives Arch a little bit of time, or does Arch have to come in and be the guy from day one?
Max, what did you think of Brian Hartline scooping up a couple stud wide receivers? I mean, that's what he does, but the Buckeyes hitting it big again with wideouts.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty easy one there. If you're at Ohio State and you're trying to convince wideouts to come to Columbus. I think Hartline has really established himself as one of the best recruiters in the country with what he's done at his position. And the guys that they won on Carnell Tate is a big time recruit that everybody wanted. Brandon Inniss is a guy that was, I believe, previously committed to Oklahoma to play for Lincoln Riley, and I'm sure they wanted to get him at USC. But those guys kind of agreed to team up together, and huge deal for Ohio State, and they just get better and better in that room every year. And look, I think when you have the sell too that of Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and Jameson Williams all going back to back to back in that draft, all being teammates, it makes it even easier for them to say, come do that here.
Max, I saw your note about KD Davis, the linebacker, North Texas, a heck of a player, 121 tackles, 16 tackles for losses, 5.5 sacks. It's kind of late in the process because he had decided to come back and play. Any idea where and who is probably already right on him?
Yeah, I'm sure the schools that are not far from Denton are calling him. I saw a lot of reactions from Texas fans as soon as he hit the portal that's a guy they need. I really wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of Power 5 schools that are calling him right away. It is late in terms of him going in there, but trust me, linebacker is one of those positions where you look at it, and I have of the 2,000 scholarship players or so that hit the portal in the last year. the number of guys that are like committed to Power 5 schools to play linebacker is really only like 40 or 45. Like that was a hard position to find in the portal this year. And so this is a guy that's going to have a ton of options. And from the folks that I've talked to, North Texas has been worried about this for a long time. And that, throughout the offseason that he could be tempted to make that move because he's a really, really good player who's coming off a great year. And obviously they had the Murphy twins hit the portal and they're now going to UCLA. When they got past the deadline, I'm sure there was some sigh of relief that he wasn't gone, but he still ended up moving on. And I'm sure for, I'm sure for that staff at North Texas, that's really frustrating because you don't want to feel like, you evaluate them and develop them, and then somebody else gets to get them.
Yeah, Phil Bennett's going to be, I'm sure, not thrilled after the Murphy kids, and then
I'm sure it's really tough. I'm sure it's really tough for Phil and those guys to develop them and put all that time into them, and then suddenly he's gone.
Dylan Edwards, Kansas State, 4-star multi-purpose back. I saw a lot about him. A couple of guys I follow that cover Kansas State. This is a big-time pickup for Chris Kleiman.
Yeah, that's right. K-State has really, with this recruiting cycle, they are really trying their hardest to keep the best players in Kansas home. And Dylan Edwards was a big one that they were up against Nebraska and Oklahoma and a lot of big schools for him. So to get him to commit was a big deal. And now the big fish for them is Avery Johnson, the quarterback from out there in Kansas, who they're competing against Oregon and Washington for him. And he's the guy that they're kind of trying to build this whole thing around. So getting Dylan Edwards is a great step in the right direction for Avery Johnson. And I think this has a chance to be a class that, in terms of rankings and all that, could end up being, maybe the best class K-State's ever had. They're really kind of raising the bar there a little bit. So Dylan Edwards, a 4-star running back, that's a big one for K-State.
Paul, Craig, thank you, Max. Appreciate your time as always. We love the segment Thursdays with Max Olson on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. So how about that? So there's one of the things, and you can't stop it, but what a window of when you can transfer. Can you do that? Because let's say it's not North Texas. Let's say it's UCLA, who got a couple of guys earlier. Let's say it's Baylor, or if it's Auburn, whoever it is. So you get through the year, you get through the semester, and then in like mid to late June, one of your stars is gone. And you really can't stop it. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to transfer. But the
windows aren't going to stop it, but it will probably stop a lot of the emotional stuff. And it allows the coaches some time to plan out when they have to recruit their own roster, as opposed to, waking up in the morning and then having to do it every single day. So that's all it's going to do. I mean, it's not going to stop anything. 3% less kids will wind up in the transfer portal because they won't make emotional decisions, but people will still go in the transfer portal.
Yeah, you can't stop them, I guess. And it's not. This guy might end up at A&M or Texas or Baylor or whatever. Who knows? Texas Tech, Oklahoma, heck of a player. But you got a team, a depth chart, a 2 deep. You've gone through all that. You're ready to kind of just take it. This is when you take a deep breath a little bit, if you can, before this in media days in mid to late July, and then you're starting to work out. And he's gone. All right, so we have tried to touch on everything possible today, from the 50th anniversary of Title IX, Arch Manning and his commitment, Baylor picking up another safety in the class of 2023, Mitch Thompson being introduced as the baseball coach at Baylor, 1-0 Ole Miss, I think it's in the 5th, leading Arkansas in the elimination game. The winner will get Oklahoma. Now, I saw this yesterday from Ryan Leaf, former NFL quarterback who, yes, has been about as down in the dumps as you could possibly be. And on his Twitter feed, he said 10 years ago, it was in April. 10 years ago in April, he woke up on the floor of a prison cell. He went through hell. He was thought to be, perhaps by some, that it was either Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf as the number 1 pick in the draft. Peyton Manning, of course, went to the Colts. He has then turned his life around. It's a great story when people do that, and a lot of people do. He now talks to teams. Dave Aranda, he covered 3 of their games last year, invited him to come talk to the Baylor football team. So I reached out to Ryan. He was about to fly out today, and we're going to hear from him. And his thoughts about Dave Aranda, comparing him to yet someone we've heard him compared to before, and even someone that Dave Aranda has brought up before, and Ryan Leaf on Baylor. Dave Aranda, his speech to the team, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dental work is something that if you don't take care of it, it can almost be like termites to a house. You're in trouble. Things start to decay, things start to break down, and it's really going to be hard to come back and do anything about it because it could just crush a house, even if you get the best of treatment. Same thing with dental work. If you don't get the cleanings, if you don't get checked up every 6 months, or if you don't take care of what you're supposed to do every day, flossing and brushing your teeth, well, you know, that seems like it's fundamental, but your teeth can decay and they get worse. And then when you don't get them checked, like I did for years, then all of a sudden things get worse. Yes, I did brush my teeth and I do floss. But now I've got 2 teeth that will have crowns put on them from a couple of implants that were put in by Dr. Scott Warren. And then I'll also have a couple of other things done. I've had the various parts of my teeth that have had to be replaced. I've had to do the root canal, which is about as bad as you can hear. Like, hey, you're going to the principal's office. Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental is who I trust 100% with my dental work. He has given me the advice and finally convinced me what I should have been convinced to do 20, 25 years ago. If you've been like that and then you go, my God, I'm not going back to the dentist, only thing that's going to happen is bad news. Needles, root canals. You got to do it now. It's only going to get worse, believe me. At Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% for 72 with 5,000 down cash or trade. TTL extra. See deal for details. Step up your ride at Richard Carr's Summer Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra SLT, only $432 a month, or a 2017 Buick Encore for $183 a month, or GMC Acadia for only $280 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. We pay top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, full tanning bed and kids club, 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience, where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
First down, Smith. There's a running room. Abram Smith picking him up. Puts him down. Abram Smith down inside the 10.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Ryan Leaf, ESPN college football analyst and a part of many different things, college football as well, joins us Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports at Baylor University to speak with the team for Dave Aranda on Wednesday. Ryan, thanks for your time. I know you speak to a lot of different people. We've talked to you many times about what you speak about and about you. How does that go about? Did Coach Aranda reach out to you?
He did. He had Dennis Pullian, reach out to me, and Dennis and I go way back, right? He was on the draft table 25 years ago, writing down Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf to hand in on that day. So we go way back. He's watched my arc. He knew that my message would be well received by this team, the way Dave Aranda is going about his business here in Waco. And so when I got that call, I thought we had shared values, and I jumped at the opportunity to get in front of his team yesterday. And I really like what he's doing here. It's something special. It's a different approach. The kids really seem to react to it and are motivated by it. And, defending Big 12 champs, that's going to be a big expectation this year to try to go out and meet again.
When you say he does it a little bit different, we kind of know. We've been following what he's done in a short amount of time and how he's even transformed in football terms and really now kind of just starting to get to know him maybe during last season when it was a little easier for us to have a chance to be around him. When you say different, it is different, isn't it?
He reminds me a lot of my head coach in Tampa, Tony Dungy. There isn't a lot of bravado. There's more vulnerability and transparency, and that's a big part of what I speak about. And so he thought it would be a perfect fit to show the guys that this is about us. This is about the guys in this room. This is about us achieving our goals, but it's not the end-all, be-all. It's about being better men. It's about doing the things that you need to do and getting to that place. It's very, very important to get to that place, and he's a guy that's really, really doing that.
How did the players react to what you're saying?
It's always interesting to see, this generation with cell phones and all of those things that exist. They were very receptive. They listened. They were quiet. And sometimes as a speaker, when there's no, reaction, because my hour-long speech, my engagement is, there's self-deprecation in it, right? There's some comedy to it, and when you don't get the normal laugh, you think either they're not listening, but I think they understand that it's a serious subject, so they may be a little confused as to, should I laugh? That sounds funny. Should I? And so I make it really clear to them that it's a serious subject, but I don't take myself very seriously when I go about it.
Did you think when you were like an 18, 20, 22-year-old football star, possibly the number one pick in the draft, did you ever think that your legacy in life at that time would be who you are as a person, as a human being, rather than as a football player?
I didn't think that it was going to play out that way. I was trying to make it as good as I possibly could, but you never quite know what you're going to experience when you go through it. And so I think that was living life on life's terms, and I wasn't prepared for what failure would look like. So it just took time. it just took a matter of whether or not I was willing to do the hard work and accept like who I was, like this flawed human being trying to be better. And through that process, I've grown up. It's taken a lot of time, but every day is an opportunity. And when somebody like Coach Aranda gives you a call to try to, really better yourself along with somebody else while being of service, you jump at it. It's just the ironic thing about coming out of prison 7.5 years ago is that you make a choice to make it about somebody else and your life gets better. That's something I didn't know was possible. I thought it always had to be about you. Mm-hmm. And so that's what made it extra special.
Ryan, do people listen to you even more intently now than they did perhaps when you first started, to try to maybe give your testimony or just, tell people what you'd been through and help them learn from your mistakes?
Well, I think anytime you have, longevity, right? I mean, if it's somebody speaking who's newly sober or newly, doing this thing, I think there's probably some reservation. But, as I tell the kids, talk is cheap. It's about showing up. And, I've shown up for the last 7.5 years, and I'll continue to do so. And if people need more time, then they need more time. I can't control any of that. I just can control what I do, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing to be, the best possible version of myself.
What's it feel like to be who you are now?
I like the guy that I see in the mirror. I definitely do. That wasn't always the case. A lot of times I couldn't look at that guy. But I also, like I said, don't take myself very seriously. I'm not an important person. I'm not any different than anybody else. I'm a flawed human being, just like everybody. I'm a dad and I'm a husband, and those things come first, regardless of any other circumstance. And I wouldn't say, life is life. Life's hard. Life isn't fair sometimes. It's about how you deal with it. So for me, I just wanted a peaceful and chaotic life, and I feel like I've gotten that. Though there's chaos from time to time, don't get me wrong, especially when you got a 4.5-year-old. But I found that peaceful nature of things.
Ryan, you discussed Baylor football. You spoke with them and discussed what about the talk and what Dave Aranda's doing. You did a game, I think, or two last year. We had you on. Your thoughts? Blake Shapen won the quarterback job. Your thoughts as they move forward and the confidence they have? And yes, they have to replace a lot of different people on both sides, but they have a lot that are back as well.
They do. I called 3 of their games last year, so I got a very good understanding of who they were, what they were about. I like their offense, run the football, be a power offense, run play action, take shots down the field, and then have that great defense. And you're right, they've lost a lot of guys, but there were a lot of guys that were second tier a year ago that weren't quite getting the shine, and they're going to get the spotlight thrown on them. And this coaching staff feels like they're ready for that challenge. And so, the intent of those young men yesterday and what they were listening to, how they've gone about their last 4 weeks during strength and conditioning program, I'm excited for this football game. I'll tell you right now, no one in the Big 12 is going to want a piece of them. They're just not going to want a piece of them on the weekend. And it's important that people understand that.
Did you get a chance to see Shapen when he started to take over when Bohannon went down?
I did. I was a little surprised that they went this direction, that Bohannon then didn't win the job, and because I thought he did a terrific job last year, and he got injured, and so this staff knows best. I'm looking at it from a 30,000-foot view, not inside the program. So it's important for people that are outside of it to understand that this is what they think is best for the team, and clearly everybody's on board.
One thing to wrap it up, you mentioned Tony Dungy. Dave Aranda has mentioned Tony Dungy, and now you, of course, as you mentioned, played for him, and now you get to know Dave Aranda. That's high standard right there. Those are two of about as, I guess you could say, real as you could possibly get as coaches.
It is. It's a high standard, and I don't mean to place that on him, but he when you find somebody that you want to be, you go and try to emulate that individual. You go and ask them questions and follow their advice verbatim. He's done that. He feels like this is the way to win at Baylor. Find the right kid that fits the Baylor mold, and then find some studs that you can put around and make this thing go. And so I like his chances. He was a hot name in the coaching market a year ago, and he let everybody know him and his family love Waco, what it's about, and what he can offer this program. And so I'm excited. You knock out Texas and Oklahoma out of this conference. I mean, Baylor has a real chance to put themselves at the very top year in, year out. They did it last year against both of them as well, but there's real opportunity for Dave Aranda and his staff.
Ryan, I remember when we first started talking to you during those early Super Bowl years when you were bouncing back, and I always enjoyed those segments. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody wishes they could do things better. Thanks for who you are, what you've been, and also for your time today.
You bet, David. Have a great day.
Ryan Leaf, ESPN college football broadcaster, but many things broadcaster, and his story to tell of the Baylor football team. Sick on 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Humidor and Coffee Beans. Tom West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. The number one cigar right now, 1964 Padron. Padron is one of the elite brands of cigars around the world, and Don Humidor and Coffee Beans has that. Padron, Cohiba, Macanudo, Ashton, H. Upman, Romeo and Julieta, Rocky Patel, Arturo Fuente, 48-foot walk-in humidor loaded with the best brands of cigars, including the number one cigar, not just in the country, the number one cigar in the world, the number one cigar, the Padron 1964 Natural Torpedo. And on top of that, they have CBD products. If you struggle at night, and a lot of people do, when you just can't fall asleep because your mind is racing, you have too much on it, or you just, for whatever reason, struggle to fall asleep, your mind just won't shut down. They have CBD product that you can take. They are gummies about an hour or so before you want to fall asleep, and it will eventually get you to a point where you won't go to bed. You go to bed, you're gone. You're sound asleep. Wake up, and you're like, wow, you don't lose an hour or so tossing and turning at night. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's summertime. There's picnics, reunions, cookouts, and so much to do. And Waco Custom Marketplace on Lake Air Drive in Waco is your home for the butcher shop that can help you with beef, pork, poultry, and seafood. They are spectacular at being able to deliver you whatever cut of steak you want. Bone-in ribeye, however thick you want it, that's great. They'll do it. Sirloin, T-bone, porterhouse, bacon wrap filet. And of course, as I mentioned, they have pork, poultry, and seafood. Their Norwegian salmon is spectacular. Also, all of the sauces and seasonings you'll ever need, all the ingredients you'll ever need to make sure you have that perfect, flawless taste. So it's delicious whenever you take something off the grill. And a full-fledged bakery as well, with fresh baked bread and kolaches every single day. Up and down the aisle of Waco Custom Marketplace, you also have what you need, from knickknacks to snacks to more, at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, Waco Custom Marketplace.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Welcome back, Sikkim 365 Radio. Time for a little Off the Radar, just taking a look at some stories elsewhere in sports that we may not have really touched on just yet. And some of it will be some crossover, like with Arch Manning, and well, sort of, kind of. Arch is a part of this first story that we're going to talk about, but really it's just sort of an update, and Arch is why there is an update, because if you look, and everybody's got their favorite site, for recruiting or whatever, with Sikkim 365 within that F5 family, we kind of got our own standalone deal, much like TexAgs, whereas others are all part of networks. So whatever network that you happen to love, whether it's 247 or Rivals or On3 or whatever the next one will be, depends on where you look. But I'm just going to use 247 and their composite rankings because that just seems the simplest and it takes everybody into account. So as far as the top football recruits in the entire country for 2023 go, Arch Manning's listed as number one on the 247 composite. But in terms of the top, I just wanted to take a look at who is a top-ranked player that is uncommitted and who is a top-ranked quarterback that is uncommitted as we kind of reshuffle the deck chairs here. So if you look at the top 247 composite, Arch Manning, now committed to Texas, number one player in the country. Malachi Nelson, quarterback of Los Alamitos, he is committed to Southern Cal. He is the number 2 ranked player in the country. So that leaves the number 3 ranked player in the country currently as the highest ranked uncommitted prospect, and that is a young man by the name of Cormani McClain, a cornerback out of Lakeland, Florida. If you look at his crystal ball activity, the Gators seem to be the strong bet for him. But the 4th-ranked player, you got Iamaleava, the quarterback, Tennessee. We know the whole NIL story that's kind of surrounded him. And then David Hicks from Katy Pato. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Katy Pato, which is one of the newer schools. He's actually the number 5 ranked player in the country, defensive lineman. He's crystal balled right now to A&M, but he is also uncommitted. So of the top 5, you've got 3 quarterbacks. All 3 of those guys are locked down to Texas, Southern Cal, and Tennessee. And then the 2 of those top 5 uncommitteds, Lakeland corner Cormani McClain out of Florida, and defensive lineman David Hicks out of Katy Pato. So that's where we stand as far as the top 5 recruits go. Now, as far as the top-ranked quarterback, do you guys know who the top unranked quarterback is now? He would be the number 12 overall ranked player in the country per 247, and that would be out of Detroit, Michigan, MLK High School, Dante Moore. So he is a 5-star, top 12 player, as I just mentioned, but with Arch Manning's commitment, that leaves Dante Moore as the highest-ranked uncommitted quarterback in the country. And right now, there is a lot of momentum for Oregon to land Dante Moore. And I don't know for sure because I can't keep up with every little news and know. I think he's visiting Oregon perhaps as early as this weekend. I may have seen that earlier.
I actually think I saw Jeff Schwartz tweet about, like, kind of vaguely about that. Your former Giants defensive lineman or offensive lineman who is an Oregon grad. So,
okay, yeah. So Dante Moore in Oregon, there's some momentum there. But that is who, for those that don't follow recruiting super closely, that is the next big quarterback domino remaining would be Dante Moore out of MLK in Detroit. So that's sort of where we are. But certainly with Arch Manning committing, that is a massive domino to drop, and it's been very interesting to see, all of the reaction. But of the top 10 ranked quarterbacks currently in the class of 2023, in order and where these guys are headed, got Arch Manning to Texas, Malachi Nelson staying home in California, going to SC, Nicholas Iamaleava out of Long Beach, California, going to Tennessee. Dante Moore, who I just mentioned, uncommitted. Jackson Arnold to Oklahoma.
Right, from Geyer.
From Denton Geyer. So OU's got their top 5 quarterback. Then you've got at 6, Christopher Vazina out of Birmingham, Alabama, and Briarwood Christian. He's a Clemson commit. Another an uncommitted quarterback that's out there out of Pittsburgh, California, Jaden Rashada. He is uncommitted. He's the number 7 ranked. Eli Holstein, the Alabama commit, who kind of, I guess, helped the dominoes start to fall for Arch Manning. I'm not sure if he had not committed to Alabama if it would have mattered, but he's number 8. Then Dylan Lonergan of Brookwood High School in Georgia. He's uncommitted. And then number 10, Pierce Clarkson out of St. John Bosco in California. He's committed to Louisville. So that's where all of the top 10 quarterback dominoes are right now. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of revisit all of that. But certainly everybody's going to have their favorite. I'm sure OU fans are swearing that Jackson Arnold's going to be better than Arch Manning, and Tennessee fans believe Iamaleava is going to be better than Arch Manning and Jackson Arnold and everybody else. But just kind of interesting to see where everybody is at this point. And, a lot of A&M's got their quarterback. OU's got their quarterback. Texas now has their quarterback. Baylor's got their quarterback, although they're having to fight Ohio State now. So we're not anywhere near done, but here in June, we are in an interesting spot.
Here are the logos of the top committed quarterbacks right now. You met Texas and USC, Tennessee, Oregon, Oklahoma, Clemson, Alabama, South Carolina, I don't know.
That's a prediction.
That's a prediction. Louisville, the Clarkson kid whose dad's a quarterback coach. Purdue, not at Louisville, but Baylor, Iowa State, and Arizona, Florida State, North Carolina.
Yeah, now we're getting into the whole list. But it's a lot of the blue bloods, I think, is what your point is there.
And Novosad is very highly ranked, and of course, that's also why so many people want him, including the latest interest from Ohio State.
Yeah, so that's where everything is right now. Elsewhere tonight, you got the NBA draft coming up at 7 o'clock Central Time. And a lot of talk about this, a lot of talk about where, a couple of Baylor players are going to land. In terms of Jeremy Sohan, it's not a question of if he's going to go in the first round. It's how high in the first round he's going to go. And for Kendall Brown, it's a question of where he's going to go. I've seen mocks that have him in the late first round. Mocks about a month ago had him squarely in the first round, and now there are some that either have him late first round or have him in the second round. So I was just curious. I mean, we've touched on it a little bit. We're just talking about him, throughout this process. What did y'all think of the decision now in hindsight? I mean, tonight we'll know. If he goes first round, he made the right decision. If he goes second round, he probably still made the right decision. But when he did declare, did you guys have any doubts about whether or not, that was the right choice, or did you think, hey, if you're pegged first round, you got to go?
Yeah, I always thought he would still go higher than Sohan because of what he looked like in the open court, which you'll get more of in the NBA. Yeah, they neither one of them shoot the ball well. I just thought when that game was up and down, Kendall Brown was at his best. But no, you're right. Sohan will probably be drafted 10 to 15 places sooner, and
maybe 20,
maybe even like you said, an entire round. And I hope for Kendall's sake he lands somewhere that is good for him. And I still think he'll be in the NBA, whether it's the team that drafts him or trades for him or whatever else. Did he make a mistake? No. But it does seem as if he's dropped quite a bit from the start of the basketball season.
I mean, he's definitely getting drafted, and he could very well go in the first round. And for all we know, it's the NBA draft. He could go top 15 still, for all we know. But I just more or less, were you a little surprised? Did you feel like he was ready? But then again, the NBA draft is one of those where it doesn't even really matter what you did. It's like if you're athletic enough and tall enough, and if there's just certain intangibles that your career doesn't necessarily translate to your draft interest. It's your potential in the NBA as much as anything else.
And the NBA has set up a lot of, because they've now, because of the Kwame Browns of the world, have now set up a lot of developmental avenues for themselves to be protected against those things and to make those second-round draft picks or late-round first-round draft picks worth something. Because a lot of time, if you're the 27th pick in the first round of the NBA draft, you're not going to play at all because you're probably going to a good team that is pretty stacked and is loaded for bear, and you're drafted on potential. So that's why the G League exists. So yeah, I think Kendall Brown, and again, looked at Baylor as an example of the best players in the NBA from Baylor, not named Davion Mitchell right now, have all had a little bit of G League stuff. Look at Ish Wainwright, G League, Europe, and all the other things that he did. Royce O'Neal, like those. So yeah, there's developmental avenues for everybody. So yeah, I think it's kind of surprising to me, given how athletic Kendall Brown is, that he's gonna potentially fall that far. But again, if he falls to the right organization, what if he's on the Warriors? Then everything's probably going to be fine.
What biscuits and gravy, no matter what we think, Kendall and Jeremy, we always thought this. I thought there was a sliver of hope that one or both might at least come back for another year because of what that culture is at Baylor. But from the beginning, it was pretty much assured. Kendall one and done, Jeremy maybe one and done, and now Jeremy's a lottery pick. Same thing we're hearing about the player Jacoby Walter that could be a one and done. Or Keontae George, yeah.
I'm fully expecting to watch him next year, then watch him go to the pro. I don't fault the guys at all. I know there's mixed opinions on whether Kendall Brown was probably the most ready that he could be. But if there's teams telling you that you're a first round pick and there's millions of dollars out there, well, it's not as difficult of a decision as others with no interest or nothing vested might say. So anyways, that's tonight. Right now, looking like the big favorite for the number one overall pick is Jabari Smith to the Orlando Magic, forward out of Auburn. Chet Holmgren, Gonzaga, widely I've seen him on multiple mocks, number 2 to Oklahoma City. So we'll see if that stays the course, and if so. And these all I looked at like 3 or 4, and they were all pretty much the same. Banchero at number 3 to the Houston Rockets. Big man out of Duke, Jaden Ivey, Purdue, 4 overall to the Sacramento Kings, and then Keegan Murray, Iowa, number 5 overall to the Detroit Pistons. That was ESPN, but a lot of those have followed closely.
Yeah, and Jabari Smith seems like it's becoming more. Banchero is very, very good. I loved what I saw from him in the tournament. He seemed like he grew up. He's a man. Garrett, I just sent you an email with video of Kendall and Jeremy seeing each other earlier just this afternoon at wherever they were. Craig, I know you got more to do.
Yeah, in this same ESPN mock, 13th overall, they got Sohan to the Charlotte Hornets. I would hate that for him. Michael Jordan is arguably the worst, owner, GM, leader of a franchise. I know we did a whole list yesterday, but Michael Jordan should have been on that list probably. What has he done in his ownership history?
He got the name back.
He changed the name and then changed it back or whatever. He's got the Hornets back. So fun. Looking back to the 90s, but outside of that, he has not really had the non-basketball career management-wise that he had on the court. All right, elsewhere tonight, got Stanley Cup Finals, Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche, tomorrow night is the next game in the Stanley Cup Finals. No hockey tonight, it'll be NBA draft, but I got Lightning and Avalanche, and when they hook up, it will be the Avalanche at home looking to close this bad boy on out as they are up 3-1. So Avs looking to knock out the Lightning again. That will be tomorrow night. So got a good little schedule of things going on here over the next couple of days.
The game last night ending was like gut-wrenching for Tampa.
Tampa thinks that it should have been a penalty.
No, but you can't review it. Yeah. Too many men on the ice, and they went back, but you can't overturn that particular.
I don't think I've ever seen a puck sit in the net like that.
Went so well into the crease of the top of the net that it just flopped over. It was, and I didn't know where it was. The goalie kind of knew he didn't have it. And the next thing you know, kind of a delayed reaction. Can you imagine that would have ended the Stanley Cup?
Oh, yeah.
The delay of that?
That'd have been kind of harkened back to when Dallas won with Brett Hull in the crease.
Yeah, in the crease, yeah. Yep, and had to go through the delay and review.
Yeah, so for those that missed it, an OT winner that actually got was negated by too many men on the ice call. So you can't review it, you can't challenge it, and that's a bummer. But tomorrow night we'll see if the Avalanche can't close it out as another season, another pro season is about to come to a close. This was random, and I'm going to start wrapping it up here. But I saw this story. Sports Illustrated, they are looking at, it appears, opening up a resort. It would be a $410 million development in Mississippi. The planned resort would have families and couples, quote, enjoying surf riders, zip lines, and other experiences like emerging from the stadium tunnel onto the field and seeing themselves pictured up on the scoreboard. So SI was bought by a group called Authentic Brands Group. And, there's been a lot of kind of back and forth with Sports Illustrated as far as ownership. Like right now, I know there was a big to-do about them, when they were going through their major change of basically hiring, I don't want to be disparaging here, but like college kids basically to be their writers versus paying like professional writers, right? And being able to pay a lot less for those guys versus, paying some of the more well-knowns. And so there's a big to-do about that, I recall. And Sports Illustrated just kind of been a little bit in flux, I think, as far as who their identity is and what they're doing and what's what. It's just been kind of strange. So anyways, they're ABG, the group, Authentic Brands Group, that bought SI, they announced they're launching the Sports Illustrated Resort Hotels. One of the first ones set for the Dominican Republic and then also Orlando. The Dominican Republic is apparently going to be the first one to open, looking like later this year. The Orlando the Orlando resort will not open until likely 2024. There's also another one planned, according to the Sun Herald in Biloxi, Mississippi, for a spot near Biloxi, Mississippi for yet another one. Could be coming to South Mississippi. This from the piece. A family entertainment center in Crystal Lagoon. The $410 million resort will be built on what originally was to be the site of the Gulf Coast Galleria Shopping Center. So anyways, SI getting into the resort business.
Garrett, I just sent you a picture, one of the overviews of the picture.
Yeah, they're getting into the resort business. So I don't know, is that going to have you guys looking to travel anymore? If you go to the Sports Illustrated branded resort down in Mississippi or Orlando or wherever else?
Look, I gotta tell you, if the first one's in Mississippi, I'm highly unlikely to go there.
Okay.
I've never thought. I know there's some people are like, I have precious little time off. I'm going to spend it in Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, there's some okay spots down there. I don't know that would be like, my first choice, though, if I'm going resorting. But I guess if you're a diehard sports fan, maybe you're in the area, that'll be a little bit of a pull for you. But we've seen this before, as Awful Announcing pointed out. They've had the ESPN zones. We had Fox Sports Grills. I don't know, Barstool's had some activity as well. I remember, there's the WWE restaurant in New York at one point in time. Like, there's all sorts of different ventures that the leagues have undergone. But SI getting involved in this is a little bit interesting, and certainly not what I think a lot of their writers like 20 years ago envisioned as far as the brand. But who knows?
No, yeah, I don't think Rick Riley really thought this is where things were headed.
Yeah. Well, Ross Dellinger, I saw him do the bulging eyes when that story came up yesterday.
Yeah, maybe so.
I sent it again, Garrett, from a different account. You might be able to put it up. Listen, if it's beautiful and contained, why not, right? I mean, it depends on where maybe it is, Orlando compared to Mississippi, but good for Mississippi if, in fact, it can work there. Gulf Shores is in Alabama.
Yeah.
Mississippi has some of the casinos. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place, and if we can get there, no, we don't have it up. Okay, that's okay. It just looks like anything else. It's got go-kart racing, it looks like, and huge, massive pools that wind through everything, and it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. I'll tell you, the chat room kind of agrees with me, is that if I said something negative about a lot of states, some people are like, hey, man, I just dogged on Mississippi, and people are like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you got some fans in your corner with that one. And elsewhere, I'll wrap it up with this. The full first-round selection of NFL draft picks are now in the books. Kenny Pickett, the final first-round pick finally signing his rookie deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the last to do so. But, kind of the timeline's fine. There's not a big deal. Like Tyquan Thornton still has not signed yet. I don't know what the holdup is with him. He was a 50th overall pick in the second round, so he doesn't count as a part of this. But, yeah, Kenny Pickett bringing that first round to close. Most of those guys did sign before the month of June. Here we are about to turn the calendar to July in about a week. But we've seen – there's nothing unique, I'm saying, about him lasting this long. But now the first round club all locked down with signatures thanks to Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then there's a whole thing about I know you brought up Kyrie and there's talks about him, but I just don't have the time nor the care to really bring that up and off the radar, so we can maybe mention that elsewhere. But those are a few things that are
Craig.
off the radar.
No question. I got to tell you, Brenda Van Langen is going to join us next on Title IX at the age of 50. But I got to tell you, if you took about 5 names off of sports or out of sports, anything Cowboys, Kyrie Irving, and maybe 2 or 3 other names, can you imagine what the Yap shows, what they would do on television without those topics?
Well, I mean, we're a Yap show, but we're not a screaming show. Like that's there's a little bit of a difference there. But yeah, I think Kyrie Irving is just they love him, man. They love to just yell back and forth about Kyrie Irving, and I could not care any less than I do.
All right, when we come back, Brenda Van Langen, she's producing, the executive director of a documentary about Title IX earlier today. Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman, Brenda Van Langen, will join us. She's also a broadcaster for women's basketball. And John Machota, Cowboys Paul's Top 5. Arch Manning to Texas. We have been all over that from pretty much start to finish. Jacoby Walter, who committed to Baylor late yesterday, we had him. And also Mitch Thompson introduced as Baylor's head coach in baseball. We'll have him live tomorrow at around 3:20. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 1943, they opened their doors, and they're still just going about it, man. They're doing well and building a brand new facility to make them bigger, better, faster, stronger when it comes to what they've been doing so well since 1943. More product, more ways to distribute it to the customer, more of it available to the customer, and of course also they will deliver and unload it for you, pipe, steel, and metal. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan, open on Saturday, 8 until noon if you can't get by during the week. And, of course, you could always call them go online, do what you need to do, pioneerboys.com. Great staff, great product. And it's not just, hey, we want to take care of you. You feel like when you're there that you're truly the only one there as the customer that matters, and yet there are other customers around you that feel the same way. At pioneerboys.com.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did in a state yesterday and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge.
Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Offset with Smith in the backfield on 2nd and goal. And instead, they come around with the tight end. Ben Sims takes it in.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Update from the College Baseball World Series in Omaha. Ole Miss leads Arkansas 2-0. The winner of that game gets Oklahoma for the national championship, trying to win a double. Softball and baseball if they can. We're now joined by Brenda Van Langen, color analyst, but also executive director. Documentary on the history of women's basketball. If not for them, she joins us. She's been traveling. She's burning the midnight oil with what she's doing. And Nancy Lieberman, by the way, Brenda said hi and loves the project that you're doing. How much does today kind of also build into what you're doing? We're in the 50th anniversary of Title IX.
Well, hey, it's so nice to talk to you and be on the show. It's a big part of it. Women and girls really got opportunities in sports when Title IX was enacted. And there were a lot of women in this country, in different places around the country, but especially Texas, that had gotten opportunities in the 50s and 60s, and they knew what it was like to have the benefits of sports, and they wanted to help be leaders for all girls and women. And about that time, Title IX passed, and those women were the early leaders that really paved the way for what we have today. And that's what my docuseries is about, is collecting those stories. If not for them, we wouldn't have what we do today. And it's really fun to collect these stories and go around the country and talk to all these amazing people.
So where are you in the process now of the docuseries?
I'm producing it independently, and so I've had to raise money, and we've raised enough money to do all of the interviews that we want to do, which I have about 90 people targeted to interview. And we have raised enough money, and over the next 4 to 5 months, we'll finish all of our interviews around the country. And then my goal is to have a pilot episode available at next year's Women's Final Four in Dallas. And then after that, it depends on fundraising, but I think we should be able to do the 10-episode series sometime by late 2023.
Brenda, I went to 2 different schools in college that both were very high level in basketball. One at junior college in Tyler, and then at Stephen F. Austin when Sue Gunner was there. And, of course, they were very, very good, even during the days when Nancy Lieberman was at Old Dominion and Jody Conrad at Texas, and, of course, Pat Summitt, the great Pat Summitt at Tennessee. How much of how much of Wayland Baptist or some of the schools now, Immaculata, Delta State, some of the smaller schools that are no longer able to compete or maybe even doing much, how much are they of the history of this as well?
And they're a huge part of the history. If people want to check out some of the people that we've interviewed and the promo video we have for this, I'd encourage them to go to ifnotforthem.com, and you'll see we've got a short promo video, 90 seconds, and then a 6.5-minute one for people that are more interested. But the Flying Queens of Wayland Baptist are a big part of that. We've been able to interview several Flying Queens, a couple of them that were part of the team that won 131 straight games. We've been to Immaculata, where they won the first 3 AIAW championships in the 70s. I've interviewed their coach and their star player. Even before that, Westchester, Pennsylvania hosted the first national championship that was an invitational tournament, but it was still the first college national invitational tournament in '69. And so I've interviewed a lot of those people, and if they aren't around anymore, people that played for them or those that knew them, and all of those names that you said before factor into the story.
Brenda, it's not often in someone's professional life that you get to kind of jump into kind of what you're for lack of a better term, a nerd about, and like really go in and get excited about the history of what you're doing. It's got to be kind of a trip to do all this.
It really is. It came about because I was talking to Marcia Sharp, the legendary coach at Texas Tech, about 5 years ago, and we were just discussing how so many of the great coaches were either retired or in their retired years, or Pat Summitt had just passed away at the time, and we're starting to lose some of those stories. And so she really inspired me to figure out a way that we could preserve them. And about 2 years ago, I when we were in COVID and I started realizing you could do Zoom interviews and interview people and record it, I started calling people, and just it started to grow and grow. And I realized that there were so many stories out there that have never been told or have been forgotten. And so because I've had such a great career broadcasting women's basketball for so many years, and just have been able to build a life, a profession out of basketball, and it's because of those people that paved the way for me. And so, this is a great, great thing. It's so awesome to be able to dedicate a few years to really doing this right in a really professional way and preserve and share those stories.
Brenda, as we mark the 50th anniversary of the implementation of Title IX, where do you think we are overall in terms of women in athletics opportunities and the future looking forward? It's obviously, I think we had Baylor AD Mac Rhodes on yesterday. He said it's not a perfect system, but there's always tweaking and looking at what can change for the better. How do you just kind of view that right now in general?
I think we are in a great place in that if you look at the last 50 years, we've had so much growth in high school athletics, in college athletics, in professional sports. The WNBA has celebrated their 25th year. The NWSL is very popular. I live in Kansas City. The owners of the Kansas City Current are building the first women's soccer stadium solely for a women's professional soccer team. There's growth in so many areas. I've built a whole career out of broadcasting women's sports on television. So we've made so much progress, and there are areas that still need to be improved. I think, administrators still need to look at who surrounds them, who are the people making decisions, what can we do to make sure that both men and women have equitable resources all the way across an educational setting. I think there's still room for improvement, but boy, we've made so much progress. It's an exciting time, and I think the way people are investing in women right now, there's really exciting things to come.
I hope you don't mind me. Magic Johnson's sister was a star, was she not, at South Carolina back in the, I think, 1980, 1981?
I think that's right.
Yeah, they were a part of a team that upset my alma mater at Stephen F. Austin, who had Sue Gunner, and then had a star player named Rosie Walker.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Barbara Brown, who came out of Dallas South Oak Cliff, where Gary Blair was her coach at South Oak Cliff, who went on, of course, to just retired at Texas A&M. I love what you're doing. So are you just constantly on the road? Is a lot of this flying, or is a lot of it you driving to numerous places?
Well, the video production crew I'm working with, they have so much equipment that there's no way we could fly it. So they are driving all over the country. On some trips, I'm flying. On some trips, I'm driving. Right now, I'm just returning to Kansas City from a swing through Iowa and Illinois this past week. And, there's so much preparation getting ready for a trip that I can only do about 1 week or about, a 4-day week per month right now, because there's all the preparation, the research, the putting the questions together, the legal agreements, all the stuff that goes with it, that I do about 1 week per month. And that's why I plan to do 1 week per month for the next 5 months to get all these done. And then we'll just start working on the editing and producing so that we can release a pilot episode in Dallas at the beginning of April.
You, of course, cover games, and you know how good Baylor was. Kim Mulkey now at LSU, and Nikki Collin with what she did her first year. If you don't mind, I saw her today at the baseball coach's introduction. The Dallas Wings and Indiana Fever, I think, may be playing tonight up in Dallas, and with Nalissa Smith and Queen Egbo on Indiana. Your thoughts about what Nikki did and now entering year 2?
It's always difficult to follow a legend, and there's no doubt that Kim Mulkey is a legend and continues to build on her legendary status. But I thought Nikki Collin came in and, implemented her style that she wanted to see and had great success. I know it was a disappointing end to the season, but a lot of success throughout. And I think you're bringing in other players that will continue to thrive there is something that Nikki does well. She's done well throughout her career, whether a WNBA coach or as an assistant coach through the years. She's a terrific coach with a great basketball mind. And I think people have reason to be very excited about the future. And boy, if I were in the Dallas area, I would go watch Nalissa Smith and Queen Egbo play some ball tonight. How exciting that they're on the same WNBA team.
Yep, the two post players that played basically one right hand, left hand. Brenda, we always appreciate getting you on. Great to see you whenever you come to the Farrell Center, or we've seen you at NCAA tournament games as well. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck. And we'll put the link up. If not for them, we'll put that up again for those who are watching us on YouTube or listening to us on the radio.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate getting the word out about this project. It's very near and dear to my heart, and I really appreciate it.
Well, you deserve the attention. It's Brenda Van Langen. Ifnotforthem.com is the website, and there's stories a little bit. And this is a huge project covering the history of women's basketball. Earlier, Nancy Lieberman. And now this is a documentary about the history of women's basketball, which in the 70s for some was, half court, 6-on-6, whatever it was, in certain places as well. On the chat room, I just saw somebody brought up that had a grandmother that played high school basketball in Tyler, Jack said, in the 1920s. So thank you, Jack, for showing that and giving us that information. All right, John Machota is going to join us. Garrett, do you have that picture of don't do it in this segment. We have one other segment before John?
No. We had finished this segment.
So let's I don't have enough of the background on this, but I have enough to where there's a story that was at the championship, which Katie Ledecky did like a lot of great things again. A swimmer, artistic swimmer, was in an event, and then the American swim coach saw her floating to the bottom of the pool. And these things, they're deep. That is a picture they have. She was floating to the bottom of the pool. The American swim coach, you can see the photographer who captured the picture. The American swim coach, Andrea Fuentes, jumped in the pool full clothing to bring her to the top to help rescue her. And then, of course, others were okay. U.S. swim team later released a statement saying that Anita Alvarez, the swimmer, was doing very well.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, yeah, the artistic swimming used to be called synchronized swimming, and so, I guess she passed out or something.
Yeah, well, what happened is that she put on the performance. I saw a little bit of feedback. She put on the performance that was her best performance of a lifetime, and every ounce of whatever energy and everything she had, passion, and she just had nothing left. And so she kind of fainted, and of course, thank God there was somebody there to help her.
Yeah, this is actually the second time this has happened with this coach and this swimmer. And she said that towards the end of her routine, she noticed that her feet were getting pale and saw some signs, and she started to sink rather than going up. And that's why she did not hesitate and went and rescued her. So,
thank God.
Glad that she was alert.
And thank goodness she's doing well, and that's good news as well. 5:17 is the time. Thank you, Garrett, for having that. We're going to have John Machota join us here momentarily, DallasCowboys.com. And, Baylor men's and women's basketball tickets. They had the announcement today from the athletic department, and I'm sure the various schools that you love. Basketball tickets are now on sale. And, by the way, making preparations for eventually how they're going to do the tickets at the Foster Pavilion, which is being built right across the Brazos River from where we broadcast this show every day. Sikkim 365 Radio.
Let's keep it here for
and 65 Radio, 365 Radio. All right, let's go to the chat room and look around. You guys, what else? Ole Miss 2-0 final. That's it. They're in. They're going to play Oklahoma for the national championship, and they were really good even last night when they lost 3-2 to Arkansas. Great run by Arkansas as well. But Ole Miss and Oklahoma now are headed to the championship game.
Yeah, and their pitcher DeLuca just dealing today. Absolutely dealing, and they set it up. He's their ace, and so they set it up that way. So Oklahoma and Ole Miss in the championship. So
two red-hot teams. Levi brought this up that Ole Miss might have been the last team to get in the tournament. Oklahoma won the Big 12 tournament, I believe, and were hot, but they have been even more hot as they've never trailed in Omaha, or I don't know about the entire playoffs as far as the NCAA or not, but they have not trailed in Omaha, and they play for the championship. Roger the Dodger on the chat room, he goes, there's a video of Leaf yelling at a reporter his rookie season that they would play on the local news every night, it seemed. Bad publicity. Yeah, Roger, he wasn't a good person. He even admitted in the interview that we did earlier today when he was talking about meeting with the Baylor football team that he didn't like looking at the mirror. Did not like looking at himself in the mirror, and a lot of people don't.
That was also I don't know, there's people that have been born and graduated college in the amount of time since that video was filmed. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And, he'll be the first to tell you he's not perfect and he's made mistakes. And, yeah, that was not a good look. There's a lot of things that weren't a good look for that guy. And he's still, somebody that I think has to struggle with it on a daily basis. That's unfortunate because that's not an easy fight. There's some people who get over it, you get over it. For him, I think it's more of a daily thing. So, yeah, imagine that. Imagine, trying to get over that, and you're trying to do better for yourself, and then you have people reminding you of what you did 25 years ago and the time you were mean to a reporter.
Yeah.
Even though you might have, been a different person over 25 years. But that's part of the struggle, is that you're never going to not be the guy who had those problems, and you're never not going to be the guy who was a bust in the NFL, and you're going to hear all those things that you heard at the time that were hurtful. And that you probably drank to forget about or, dismiss as best you could. And here you are trying to do better for yourself and be clean, be sober, and be inspirational. But we're going to bring up that thing you did 25 years ago when and I'm not blaming Roger by any means, but I'm just not going to judge him on that, moment. And if, he were to do something right now that was of ill repute or whatever, be the first to say, hey, you screwed up. Don't be an idiot, and, this is not what you're supposed to be preaching about, and people do relapse or struggle or whatever. So, I give him the benefit of the doubt because I know that he's tried hard based on the conversation that I had with him on the radio a while back and just the other ones that I've heard. It's not an easy thing, and clearly not an easy thing for him. So
I just remember the first time we met him at the Super Bowl, I was kind of nervous. Okay, is this one because you have?
I'll tell you another thing.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people who don't have those issues that are way bigger jerks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael Jordan, total crap person, basically from all indications. And you know what? He's still Michael Jordan, though. People he's always going to be a bust. He's always going to be that. He's always going to be the guy who screwed up. But he's trying to live past that and be a better person. There's some people who just aren't good people, but they get praised and they don't get hit for those same things.
Yeah,
you know.
But I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to take Ryan Leaf. Like they came over and booked the interview and said, yeah, absolutely, we're going to do this interview. That's, I mean, it'd be
you know why?
not to.
Why were you nervous?
Because like sometimes you get these guys and like they turn out to be exactly who you think they are, and so you're like, okay, how do I make this good, or how does this going to be? Because the guy's known to be a jerk, and sometimes you think, oh well, you're gonna have to kind of fake it on the air. The radio row kind of is a weird place, and he came over and could have been more genuine and like accepting of who he is. And who he was and who he wants to be, and that's what recovery's about. I think
the natural reaction is, oh my God, what can I ask him? Well, that's why he's there, because he needs to. He does. He needs to discuss it, and he has, and he hit it head on. I asked him one of the questions I did ask if you missed the segment. Did you think when you were an 18 to 22-year-old star football player, possibly the number one pick in the NFL draft, because that was a very good debate at the time with Peyton Manning, did you ever think that your legacy in life might be who you are as a person and the comeback you've made rather than being a star football player? Because I bet when he was at 18 or 22, never thought about that. And that's who he is now.
We didn't see the massive crash coming at the time, clearly, because he was drinking his way towards it and didn't think it was going to happen. And then, boom, here you are. So, yeah, I doubt that he saw that coming because he had the world by the balls at the time.
Yep.
He's the hot court. I mean, he was debated to be better than Peyton Manning. I mean, like you just said. So you got substance abuse added in with that toxicity of being so high profile and people loving you and probably wanting every piece of you that they can get. And that's a bad toxic combination. And obviously that poison problem that he had, that lasted a little while longer, even past the football part of it. And, that's a struggle for a lot of people. And it clearly has been one for him. But I admire, at least no matter what he did or, there's a cross where, like, you cross a certain line. I'm not as understanding, but for somebody who's out there preaching and trying to, from all indications, just prevent others from feeling that way that he did, or seeking that same sort of, distraction that he did, or falling down that same path that could have ended up way worse than just being a guy who now we talk about, hey, remember when he did this? I'd much rather be that than be the dead guy. I'd much rather be that than be the guy that killed somebody in drunk driving. I'd much rather be that than a lot of other things he could have been. So I'm not going to,
All right. I 100% agree with you. It's interesting. What about? His tweet that's pinned to the top of his feed, April 1st of 2022. 10 years ago today, I woke up on the floor of a prison cell with no idea what could be or what kind of dream team we'd make. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. There is hope, sober life, 10 years sober, partners in crime. It's a picture of he and his wife.
What I just hate for him is it seems like it's going to be a lifelong thing, and that's not the case for everybody. The lucky ones don't have to deal with that, but he's clearly somebody who is, like I said, it's a day-to-day thing for him. So best of luck to him. I know that he's he's had a couple relapses, and so hopefully that's the couple that he has, and that's it. And he can continue to preach his message and hopefully inspire some other people to get clean if they're not already. Because substance abuse is a B, man, and it ruins a lot of lives, a lot of families, and I'm glad he's out there trying to do something positive.
All right, Houston's Dana Holgorsen donating $1 million towards a building of a new football operations building. It's part of a $150 million fundraising campaign. I saw Sam Kahn had this ahead of Houston's entry into the Big 12. Dana Holgorsen dropping down $1 million. Of 100 towards that. Of course, Tillman Fertitta and others will be putting in theirs as well.
I don't know how often we hear of a coach donating to the facilities. That's weird.
You know who did at Florida State? Willie Taggart, and they fired him.
Oh, shit.
Gave him $1 million. Of course, he had a huge, gigantic buyout. So, I mean, but I still, like, of all the things I felt bad about, I was like, man, this guy just gave you $1 million for the football facility back, and then
did that count toward his buyout?
Yeah, it should have. It should have.
Yeah,
I should have at least given him that money
so
back.
So maybe it happens more regularly, but yeah, I don't feel like we hear that all that often of the coach contributing. But hey, good for Dana Holgorsen. He seems to be happy down there in Houston.
All right, 5:26 is the time, and man, we've had a rapid fire throughout the show today. I've not mentioned them behind the scenes because they've been mean today. Levi Caraway, Jack McKenzie, Emery Winter, Garrett Ross. Sometimes they're good people, and then sometimes, Paul, they go they go rogue.
I can just tell you, Levi seems like a good guy, but there's part of me that thinks that one day he's going to be a problem. I mean, and then we're going to have to take him down a peg or two.
They are behind the scenes, and they by the way, Levi and Jack, were at the press conference earlier today. Levi popped the story up right after it ended, like almost immediately. Pretty good work. Jack was filming it. Not enough people thought you guys got the video up. Like it doesn't just happen. It's not like in 10 seconds, but you did a great job of getting up the press conference. Hey, Mitch Thompson's going to join us tomorrow here live at 3:20 on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. When we come back, John Machota, theathletic.com on the Cowboys and the NFL, Sikkim 365 Radio. Marcos.com, Marcos Pizza. We had some pizzas delivered here, what was it, yesterday? I know 2 days ago. Yep, the one that we always seem to get, the large, all meat, thin crust, Chicago cut in squares pizza. Sometimes it's the pepperoni magnifico. Enjoy a large at $9.99, and also order online. Use PepMag and order now. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas, $8.99 each. Order now online at marcos.com and use the code HOT2GO with the number 2. $3 off large specialty pizzas. Order now. Special 3 is the code. So all of that is available, plus what they have with sandwiches, salads, wings, and much more. Soft drinks, too, if you want. And even the pizza bowls. We got one of those delivered a couple of days ago. Marco's Pizza, 5 locations in Waco. Robinson, Hewitt, Woodway, China Spring, and Bell Mead, and over 1,000 stores nationwide where you are at marcos.com.
Alan Samuels is having the Make the Switch sales event in June on the award-winning new 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star. In June, the special value is up to $7,000 or get $4,000 bonus cash and 2.9% for 72 months. Ram trucks are designed to be durable, functional, and stylish. This legendary truck gives you that first-class feel. Alan Samuels in Waco, the place to shop for Ram trucks. First responders get $500 extra cash.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
John Machota, theathletic.com, has been very nice with us, usually on Wednesdays around 5:30, moved back to today. We appreciate him joining us. He covers the Cowboys in the NFL as well. So, John, this is kind of a lull in the calm before the storm. What are stories that you start to pop and write during this time between the OTAs or whatever they're called now and the start of training camp on the 26th of July?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I start working ahead on some things. There's some players on this team, younger players in this draft class that I don't feel like, fans probably know enough about. Work on stuff like that. Probably get together with some other writers at The Athletic and work on like some bigger picture pieces and things like that, and just basically sit around and hope that I'm not writing about any type of legal troubles or anything off the field, And then there's always that possibility between now and that July 15th deadline that maybe Dalton Schultz gets a long-term contract. I don't particularly think that he will, but hey, that's always a possibility there. If maybe they, both sides come together and they work out something that they both can agree on. Again, I don't expect that to happen, but yeah, there's just never really, a shortage, even during this time. I mean, it slows down, but it's not like there's nothing to do.
John, I saw your 53-man roster projection, which I would imagine is pretty easy, not pretty easy, but 40 people like right away. And then the last 13 you've got to juggle back and forth. But one of the ones I noticed you don't have on there is Simi Fehoko, who would be kind of maybe the biggest name from last year's draft to get cut first.
Yeah, so I think Simi Fehoko will be on the roster because I think what will happen is Michael Gallup will probably start the season on PUP. So I had Gallup on as one of the 5 receivers. So, but I do expect Fehoko to end up being on there because I just don't think Gallup will be ready. And so I think that's where he'll work in. But, yeah, no, that's a possibility. Hey, there's a possibility that one of these undrafted receivers possibly beats him out. And then the other one that I didn't have on there was Deron Bland, the corner they took in the 5th round, because I think they only keep 5 corners. And so then it would come down to him and Nashawn Wright, who they drafted, a year ago in the 3rd round. So, I wouldn't be surprised if either one of those guys makes the team, But to your point originally, you are right. I've been doing these 53-man projections this time of year for, almost the last decade. And I would say this has been one of the easiest ones just because, there's been guys that they've lost and they haven't really replaced them with any big names. So you can kind of just pencil in the rookies and the draft picks that'll kind of fill out the rest of the roster. So when I was doing it, yeah, I would say, 47, 48 of them were pretty cut and dry. And then there's, the other thing is you got to remember is during training camp and preseason, guys are going to get hurt. There's just going to be things where, and I don't mean season ending, but stuff that'll, make them adjust the roster and things like that. And hey, maybe the Cowboys do add another player of significance between now and the start of the season. But as it sits right now, it's not difficult to put together a good 48 to 50 guys that'll be on this roster week 1.
What is it like to cover a team? And we've asked you about the fact you could never take a deep breath, or if you do, it comes back to haunt you. What is it like that you cover a team that if the wind blows, there's something you've got to cover? It must be great, and yet again, also sometimes there's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, there definitely is. Like when I was working at the Morning News, there's 3 of us on the beat, and then when I'm at The Athletic, there's 2 of us, me and Bob Stern, but this is the time when like we kind of try and rotate off taking vacation and things like that, before it goes into training camp. And so, yeah, there is always that little bit of, some could happen, but it's just one of those things you just kind of, it comes with the job, and it is what it is. I hate to even say this because I know I'm just going to jinx myself, but I feel like, I don't know, like there's always stuff with the Cowboys, but I don't know. Like, I don't look at this team as having like a lot of like, real questionable characters on it. There's, every team's going to have some guys that, you kind of think about like, the off season, something could happen and things like that off the field. But, this is a pretty solid roster character wise. But, of course, now I said that, I just jinxed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still kind of have to wait out Kelvin Joseph a little bit and whatever is going to go on there. John, what do you the last couple of years especially, maybe the last 2 or 3, and maybe even more so with McCarthy, the Cowboys have really seemed to me to really value the draft picks they've made up and down the draft and really counting on those guys to fill out the roster, which wasn't always their organizational philosophy. Where do you think that shifted for them?
Well, I mean, I think it changes by whoever your head coach is. I mean, I think Jason Garrett wanted to do that. And obviously Mike McCarthy wants to do it. But I would say the biggest, if I had to just point to like one moment or one time, I would say it's probably 2014 when Will McClay officially took over the draft. Now, he had been involved with the draft heavily before, but he wasn't the one running it. 2014, he started, it was officially his baby, and it's been that way ever since. And I think, he's done great at that. And I think because of that, they have a guy that they really trust that can identify these prospects and is good at bringing together the scouts with the coaches and the front office. That's a strength for them. My only argument would be that I still think with that, they still need to do a little bit more, whether it be, in veteran trades or veteran free agency. I'm not saying you have to be in on every big, they're the Dallas Cowboys. They need to be in on a guy here or there that might have to spend a little bit more on that is from outside the building, but they haven't wanted to do that. So, but it's also, interesting when you talk about that when I look at this team and when I'm doing that 53-man projection, one spot that really stands out what you're talking about is that offensive line, because they really need their youth to come through. A lot of guys have been drafted recently. Matt Waletzko, Josh Ball, Matt Farniak, Tyler Smith, their first-round pick this year. These are guys that they need something from this year, and they're guys that we really don't know if they're ready. Heck, you can even throw in Tyler Biadasz and Connor McGovern in there. Like, there's just a lot of unknowns there with a lot of these guys in the offensive line, and it's, as good as Dak or Zeke or the receivers or tight ends are, like if the offensive line is the way it was in the second half of last season, this team's not going to be very good. So that's where the big question marks are, and they're expected to answer those questions with a bunch of guys they drafted. So we'll see how it works out.
I'm curious about this. When you happen to turn on your television, whether you're at home or on the road or you're wherever you might be, and I don't know if the screen might have some of these morning shows that have these topics. We were talking about this earlier. Like if they got rid of 5 names, like if Kyrie Irving could not be mentioned in the morning shows on TV, then I don't know what they would do to themselves. Or just the Cowboys logo. LeBron. How often when you see a Cowboys logo and a topic being debated or discussed by those that almost like make up which side they're going to be on, do you roll your eyes?
I'd say probably 50% of the time. But I would say the way I look at that, especially when you're talking about turning on those like morning shows and stuff, those morning when they're just trying to talk up any topic, I'd say that my bigger takeaway from that, and I've told friends this, is that I'm stunned, just absolutely shocked when they say something where I'm just like, wow, I didn't even think that was a possibility. And that's nothing against them. They're talking about 500 different topics in a week or whatever, but it just, there generally is one of those things where it's just like I do get the feeling like you're saying, like where it's like we got to fill the segment here in segment 2. We could do Cowboys. Is Dak the guy? And you're just like, okay, we'll fill that. Where you're just kind of like, is that really that big of a deal? Like, so yeah, there's always stuff like that. But I don't know. I think that it doesn't bother me. I think, and part of the reason why is because I'm not from Dallas originally. So being from Detroit, like. Moving down here, like I already knew like the Cowboys were going to be like the biggest thing because I just grew up and they were always those. So I've just kind of always expect them to be there. I would say the biggest difference is that I'd say every year that goes by that they don't at least get back to an NFC Championship game, it is kind of entertaining to see how like it just continues to grow and you don't even need the wins to be there. And to compare it back to the Detroit thing, I always joke around with my friends. It's like the Lions ownership has done nothing to make the team good. And every year the Forbes list comes out, and they're worth more and more money. They're up to like $2 billion. The Detroit Lions are worth $2 billion. Like, how is this even possible? They do nothing on the field that makes you think they should be worth anything close to that. And it's kind of with the Cowboys, obviously on a way bigger level, where the value of the Cowboys keeps going up. But on the field, you're like, I don't know. Like, you think that for this value, at least once every 5-6 years, they make a deep run, and that just hasn't happened.
Yeah, I get a lot of text sometimes when they've had something on a sports shouting show about the Cowboys, and somebody be like, "Oh my gosh, this," and I'll be like, "What?" I've never heard that or entertained it before, and then I have to rack my brain for where could you have possibly heard that? Because again, I get my news from guys like you, that are in the locker room, not guys. Again, they're just throwing a topic and they're just going to throw it out, whatever their opinion is. But I have to really do some math in my head about where that could have come from.
The biggest one that always gets me is the player on other said team that could be a target for the Cowboys. And the only reason I say this is because, again, I moved down here at the end of 2010. Okay. So by my standards, I feel like the last time that the Cowboys made one of those really big moves were in the middle. Actually, I take it back. Amari Cooper is one. But before Amari Cooper, I really feel like it was that Roy Williams trade with the Lions where they gave up, multiple draft picks. And it's there's a lot of separation between that pick, that trade, and then the Amari Cooper trade for people to think that this is some franchise that just says, here they are wheeling and dealing. Got to keep the Cowboys in on this because they don't operate like that. So to the point earlier about, when the philosophy changed, and now I said about, 2014 with Will McClay, when have they really been operating like that where they're just the one piece of this Cowboys team is missing is a defensive tackle or defensive end. Keep an eye on Aaron Donald or keep an eye on this, people throw those names out, and it never happens with this team. They haven't been that type of a team since probably really the 90s, but yet still on all those shows, it's so-and-so wants out, an Antonio Brown. Yeah. Keep an eye on the Cowboys. It's not happening, but I get what they're doing because it attracts people because they're the Cowboys are interested in them, but really the Cowboys aren't interested in them.
Yeah, and it for someone like me who grew up as a Washington fan, even despite all their stuff, just trash, dumpster fire atmosphere, it used to bother me. Well, the NFL needs the Cowboys to win, and I used to like the Yankees to win or whatever, Celtics to win. And I used to, you don't. But the logo matters. It's amazing, and you're right. And as soon the Mavericks, all of a sudden, a free agent opens up. You don't hear that with them, although the fans might want it. But with Dallas, every name, 40-year-old or 25-year-old, is going to be connected to them, and it does bring a lot of interest. No question about it. All right.
Hey, real quick, one thing I wanted to add. One of the things I will say that I do love about the Dallas Cowboys is for all those people that want to argue whether their team loses or whatever, that sports are rigged. They are the perfect antidote because it's are the sports rigged? If sports are rigged, the Cowboys would at least make a Super Bowl every 5 years. Absolutely. Probably win one. There's no better thing in sports than for the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl or even be in the Super Bowl, and they haven't been close in 26 years.
Absolutely. That's a great point. You're right. Thank you very much, John. Did you get any reaction? You're a college football guy. You love Florida State like Paul. On the Arch Manning commitment today to Texas?
I'm stunned. It gives me hope as a Florida State fan if they get the right head coach that you can start getting big-time prospects again because, again, like I said, I got down here at the end of 2010. Since I've lived down here, Texas has not been very good. They won 5 games last year, and they're rolling Quinn Ewers and then getting Arch Manning. You're just kind of looking around man, what's going on here? I'm kind of interested. This is probably the first time in a long time, and maybe not this year, but maybe in the next couple of years coming up, that I'm excited for the Red River rivalry game. It's been so I've been to one, and I feel like I should be going to this thing every year, but I haven't really had a lot of motivation to go. And it's man, if Texas gets back and they start, whatever, maybe it's probably good for college football if Texas gets back. I need to see a little bit more, but this is obviously a big piece. You get a guy like that. The rest of the recruiting classes are going to pick up too, because there's going to be tons of kids around the country that want to play with Arch Manning. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they work it out with him and Ewers, because the idea that they're just going to sit there and one guy's going to play for 2 years and the next guy's going to take over. It kind of happened with, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. It worked out for Clemson, but it's one of those things I'll believe it when I see it,
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate your time. John Machota, athletic.com, covers the Cowboys in the NFL with us on Wednesdays to this week, joining us today
you heard
on the show.
If they get the right coach, I think that means what he thinks about the current guy they have at FSU.
You don't like him?
I like him. I don't want to just like my coach. I want to love him. Here's the deal. I loved Bobby Bowden. I still love Bobby Bowden. I'll always love Bobby Bowden. For a good long while, I super loved Jimbo Fisher. Right now, I just we're in the phase of I don't want to go full tilt until he proves himself to me.
Craig, the core of most of your time as an OU fan was Stoops, right?
Yeah.
And with me, it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you beat Osborne, right?
And listen, you love him unconditionally.
I do.
Exactly.
I have a voicemail with him I left on my phone. He called me.
How long is it? It's just like, hey,
it's actually pretty long.
Okay.
It was when I was trying to get a hold of him, and he called me back. It was shocking. I was like,
when I had first gotten in radio, I was living at my parents' house, and Steve Fallon gave me Gene Stallings' number to call to get an interview. And I at that time, you were in the habit of, you had the cell phone and the home phone. So I gave my home phone number first, my parents' house, and then my cell. And he called my parents' house and left a message. And my dad kept that on the answering machine
forever
until the answering machine broke. And then he was pissed because he couldn't listen to the, "Hi, Paul, this is Gene Stallings. Just calling you back." That was always, it was this long. I was out baling hay. And that's what he was doing. He was out baling hay or feeding the hay to the cows. And but I mean, I would walk into the house sometimes and he would just hit play and like, listen.
To hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we come back, Paul Catalina will have the top 5. What a day. Hope you've enjoyed it. All sorts of different angles of what we've discussed from start to finish on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Coming up, June 30th through July 3rd. Not this weekend, but next. Victory Road Series 1 through 3 pickleball tournaments at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive. They'll have raffle prizes. The format is round robins with playoffs for gold, silver, bronze medals. They have taken, and it's an incredible tennis facility. It's a workout place where I go as well, but they have a tennis court, 18 or 60. They got a center court, like a big boy center court. They play pro tournaments there. All sorts of different high school tournaments. When Baylor hosted tournaments, sometimes they'll carry over into Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. But they have taken 4 tennis courts and turned them into pickleball courts. It's a fast-growing sport. And they're having the Victory Road Series VRS 1 through 3 coming up on June 30th through July 3rd. Also, right after that, July 4th through the 10th, the following week, the Bush Ace Outreach Pro Tennis Classic with the USTA Pro Circuit. Hurd Tennis Center at Baylor University will be hosting that particular event. And they have all sorts, of course, great elite young talent that will be there. Be bold in your caring. Be bold in your dreaming above all else. Always do your best, from President George W. Bush. The Hurd Tennis Center, he's one of the, of course, featured names that's a part of this from the history of tennis. It's Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% for 72 with 5,000 down, cash or trade. TTL extra. See dealer for details. Step up your ride at Richard Carr's Summer Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra SLT, only $432 a month, or a 2017 Buick Encore for $183 a month, or GMC Acadia for only $280 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. We pay top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Well, I thought about this today because Emery reminded me at 2:56 that I hadn't sent him anything for the top 5 yet, but people keep, there's a lot of people who may not, remember the history of Steve Sarkisian that wonder, how does he get Quinn Ewers? How does he get Malik Murphy? How does he get these guys, given the fact that Texas has been so mediocre? Well, if you're a quarterback, there's not many better people you can go and play for as far as quarterback coaches go. So top 5 Steve Sarkisian QBs over the years. Number 5, and look, I know he didn't have a great college career, but Jake Locker was a fantastic quarterback at Washington and was drafted, I believe, 10th overall.
You said he didn't have a good college career.
Or pro career,
yeah.
pro career, but was drafted 10th overall by the Titans. I mean, that's what the coaches are supposed to do. Like Jimbo Fisher kind of gets knocked for this as well, but look, all he did was put Matt Flynn and Jameis Winston and Jamarcus Russell and all these guys up high. That's what Sark's doing, is putting the quarterbacks up high.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this because I totally agree with you as far as they're doing their job as far as getting these guys drafted. But with Jimbo, you just named 3 guys, and you didn't even mention E.J. Manuel, who are all total non-factor busts.
Christian Ponder, bust.
God, that's 5 dudes that are all top picks that are all busts. So, yeah, that's where I'm kind of torn. Is like, yeah, good job getting them there. But as far as them doing something when they got there, I don't know where you can't blame him necessarily, but it would make me a little leery drafting a Jimbo Fisher quarterback the next time around when he's, got that kind of a hit rate. But, I mean, at college, that's all you're supposed to do is win there. And Jake Locker did really well at Washington, and Sark had a big part to do with that. So, yeah, I mean, he did his job.
Yeah. And, look, maybe these next 2 you can split hairs on who's better, or we know who's better right away, and it's number 4, Mac Jones. Had a really great rookie year for the Patriots. Looks like he's set to do something. Of course, when you land with the Patriots, that's kind of, that's winning right there, but fits their system well. And, the Saban to Belichick changeover is a pretty easy one, considering those guys used to be attached to the hip when Saban worked for him in Cleveland.
Yeah, Saban gets so much credit, which he has earned, and he's been through so many different coordinators. Now it's Bill O'Brien, correct? That Mac Jones was really good.
Yeah.
But I never thought of him as going to be that good as a pro player. And it's early, but he really at times last year was fantastic.
It's probably because of that midsection there. And look, I'm a person with a midsection, so I can tell you.
Those are rib protectors.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the other couple guys. Like, the rib protectors don't stick out that far.
Yeah.
That was what people thought about Mac Jones. Was like, man, look at him. He does not look athletic. But, the last great quarterback for the Patriots, when he started, didn't look athletic either. Very famous picture, of Tom Brady. So, I think that's why people judge Mac Jones a little bit there.
I'm going to go back to what I was saying about Fisher. Not necessarily declare Jameis a total bust, but all the rest of those guys are absolute freaking busts.
Jameis is the only one, and then Matt Flynn was an effective backup.
Matt Flynn wasn't a bust because he was not a high pick, so I shouldn't include him.
But Jameis is the only one who's been an effective quarterback at all.
Any type of effective. Yeah, that's basically what I was getting at as well. But
Jamarcus Russell was that?
Yeah, he was number one, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah, he was a bad flame out.
Yeah. So.
Probably the worst ever, actually. But yeah, Mac Jones, great player. I don't know about the whole midsection and all that. I just think there's not necessarily something flashy about him or something to like really glom onto. He's not like a big dual threat guy. He's not, there's not a massive highlight tape of anything other than making a bunch of good throws, so there's not really that other intangible that maybe separates him from just being, just a really good quarterback. That's kind of how I see it, but whatever it is, he's not necessarily the guy that you first think of, but damn good and has a damn good pro career, it appears, in front of him as well. I mean, Belichick doesn't draft him if there's not something pretty good there. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and so that speaks a lot to Sark.
Yeah, number 3, Tua Tagovailoa. We'll see what happens with him in the pros. But, I mean, before he got hurt that year at Alabama, he was having one of the best years a quarterback had ever had. And that was due in large part to Sark. I do think that Tua probably has a ceiling, and I probably should have put Mac Jones in front of him. But, just for the sake of debate here, we'll leave him at number 3 because the individual season he had was probably better than the individual season that Mac Jones had overall. But Tua, and again, people can think about Tua what they want, but as far as a college quarterback goes, he was pretty damn salty.
Yeah, he really was. But no, I mean, I'm taking Mac Jones over him 10 times out of 10 right now, absolutely. But as a college quarterback, he was great.
Yeah, number 2, Matt Leinart. The quarterback who was on one of the best teams in the history of college football, and the quarterback was on the team who lost to one of the best teams in college football after they've been anointed one of the best teams in the history of college football. But Matt Leinart was really good and was had an NFL career, but wasn't anything to write home about, but a decently sized NFL career. So, and won the Heisman Trophy. So, what else can you say about that as a quarterback coaching job?
I'd say it's a good thing that Sark's a college head coach and not an NFL guy. Same with Jimbo. I would actually, now with looking at this list and look, this is all college based, so this is all tremendous players. But I'd like to know, who's the guy producing quarterbacks at that rate that are actually sticking? Is there anybody out there that's doing that? Where you could name 5 dudes and they're all in the pros and doing well? Probably not at one time, obviously, but I guess if you did Saban and you did quarterbacks over a stretch, that'd be half these guys. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you look at Jimbo's list, you name 5 guys, 4 of them are busts.
Yeah.
You look at this list, NFL-wise, not necessarily a lot of success. So I'm saying, who would be the NFL guru? I don't even know if there is a guy like that. Maybe that's a dumb question. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but Jimbo kind of feels like the new Jeff Tedford. You remember Jeff Tedford? But, Tedford also had Aaron Rodgers, so it kind of broke that mold there, but he had a lot of other ones, so...
Well, you had Deshaun Watson played at Clemson.
Trevor Lawrence.
And then also Trevor Lawrence.
But we don't know about Trevor Lawrence really yet.
And then, of course, Ohio State with Stroud will be out. But,
yeah, it's tough. I mean, because, look.
For example, Brigham Young, when they had Lavelle Edwards. They cranked him out. Gifford Nielsen and Jim McMahon and Steve Young.
Yeah, but if you look, I mean, just go in the AFC. If you go in the AFC West, who are the quarterbacks in the AFC West? It's Russell Wilson, who went to Wisconsin,
right?
And they don't have a bunch of guys in the NFL. It's Patrick Mahomes, who went to Texas Tech, and Cliff Kingsbury's as the head coach record on quarterbacks was Patrick Mahomes and no one. Justin Herbert went to Oregon. He's the only. I mean, Mariota's in the league, but he's not. He and Jameis are kind of in the same category right now, and they're in that same draft. And then and Derek Carr went to Fresno State. So everybody's kind of all over the place.
Is that Fresno State?
Lincoln Riley might be a guy, but Baker's not obviously very active right now.
Kyler Murray is,
yeah, but I mean, he looked like he was set there to have like a bunch of star quarterbacks, so he's kind of the next heir of that. But yeah, it's hard to, I mean, your job's to produce them at the college level. That's the point. Sark's doing that. Lincoln Riley's done that. Tedford, you mentioned, and Fisher's done that. So yeah, Matt Leinart, obviously a great college quarterback. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and number one, look, the one who had the most success, college and pro, would be Carson Palmer, who was a Heisman Trophy winner and a really good pro. Just a really good pro.
Yeah, he was. So. He really was. I think we had him win Super Bowl. May have been by phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. There you go, Paul. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Palmer is certainly the best of the bunch and was able to do it at both levels, like you said. It's been a little while since he's played, but it's almost a forgotten Heisman to me because it just happened so long ago now at this point. But yeah, he was tremendous. SC had a great run, and yeah, Sark's got it rolling right now. I mean, he's going to definitely add to this list. It's just a matter of how much he gets out of Ewers, how much he gets out of Malik Murphy and Manning and everybody else. But certainly the table's set really nicely right now.
All right, that's Paul's top 5. We appreciate that. One note, Hugh McElhaney, one of the great players in pro football, Hall of Famer, died earlier this week at the age of 93 of natural causes. For Emery Winter, Jack McKenzie, also Levi Caraway, and Garrett Ross. Garrett, thank you, sir, very much. For Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, thank you. Those of you in the chat room, those who text the show today, we appreciate you always, whenever you can. And our sponsors who allow us to make us happen every single day. Grayson Grunhafer tomorrow, Mitch Thompson tomorrow, among a few others as well.
I'm going to throw Ryan Day in there as far as the college quarterbacks as well. When you start thinking about putting guys in, not to the extent that Sark has already, but another guy you got to look out for.
It's probably coming.
Yeah, and Riley obviously still as well. Yeah.
Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Thank you.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com.